We're live here. Welcome to the live way here this Thursday night at Fish, North Georgia. We're so glad you guys are going to be joining us tonight. Got a great show with a first-time guest, Mr. Jake Maddux, and we're going to be talking, of course, fishing around here and what the fish are biting. We're going to be talking about the NPFL a little bit, and he reps Jackall. I almost said that word, Jackall. And what are you laughing at already? Huh?
You're rolling.
I'm rolling. Jackall and Shimano. So we're going to be talking about some of the new baits they got going on. We done vapor locked already. We already got him vapor locked to start off with. This is going to be a great night. But can I get the sponsors out before you start? Can we? Let's just go ahead and get this out of the way.
We'll just hold a moment for him.
Look at him. He's hurting already. Well, what a start of the show.
Oh, man. Let's move on.
All right. So anyway, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you click the like and subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. If you're watching at a later date, we love you too. And follow Fish North Georgia on all our social media. And again, we've been talking about it. Season 2 of the Real American Road Trip's getting ready to drop on Waypoint TV. So make sure you check it out there. And we're going to have a good time tonight. So let's hit our sponsors. Let's start with the best right there. Trent Palmer and the guys over at Sonar Pro, 770-530-4505. The best installation, bar none. You take your boat where the pros are. If you take it somewhere else, hey, you might save $1, but eventually you're going to take it to Trent, and he's going to be fixing it for you. So by appointment only, but he's got that new place opening up down in Cumming and giving them a little more room and everything. So check them guys out. And then, of course, Tuesday night's guest that was here, and a lot of guys said it was an absolutely great show. Kevin Underwood with Lipsticker Fishing, as we say every week. If you want to see the pictures, go to the Fish North Georgia group page or his own page. He puts his clients on big spotted bass on Lake Lanier. So check him out, Lipsticker Fishing, www.lipstickerfishing.com. And also, too, he's got those – eventually he's going to pour some more of those flukes that you guys really love. And, of course, the best rod sleeve in the market right now, Evolve Fishing. Not only does it float and have all the protection stuff, but you can't get your hooks stuck in these things just like you would a regular rod sleeve. They're absolutely the best thing out there. We got them here at Fish North Georgia. You can check them out at fngo.com. Our buddies over at Festive Waters off Highway 369, if you're in a paddle sports game, whether it's fishing kayaks, regular kayaks, or you like to do that yoga on a paddleboard like some of these women do on some of these lakes, they can set you up with whatever you want. And they're expanding into their own little new showroom that's going to be for fishing only right beside the current location. Check them out at www.festivewater.com. And then absolutely the best lure retriever out there, the Money Saver Lure Retriever. Guys, you spend a lot of money on all these high expensive baits. You get them hung, you know how frustrating it is. You might as well have the best because you want to get that bait back. And so we've got them right here at Fish North Georgia. They are on the website as well, the Money Saver Lure Retriever. And let's go wide if you guys don't mind so I can show the boys Turner Tires some love. 706-253-3339 in Jasper, Georgia. If you got to get an alignment, new tires for your car, Brock and the guys will set you up. Great local family, great local business. Support them. Tell them the guys at Fish North Georgia sent you. What are you laughing at? Oh, yeah, we'll get with the shampoo. The last one, yeah, we'll get that. And, of course, we've got our buddies up at Etowah Mead Beer and Wine in Dahlonega, Georgia. Got a great place. You need to go check it out. Again, mead can be shipped, so if you can't get up to the Dahlonega area, you need to go check them out. We're doing 1833 tonight. And, of course, now our guest, Jake, is trying out the Honey Tango mead. So what do you think about that so far?
I think it's pretty fire.
Pretty
really,
fire?
Yeah, it's really good.
You like it?
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
There
A+.
you go. There you go.
A+.
So, all right, I think now that we are starting slow, we've got the vapor lock out of the way with Kevin. Hello, everyone out there. Clint Bartlett wants to know, what shampoo does Jake use?
It's a
Go ahead. Yeah,
very good question. I go back and forth trying to find the best shampoo for these locks. Usually it's Dove products for men.
Dove for men?
Yeah, that's what I use.
You know, creamy lotion squeeze bottle kind of stuff?
I believe so. I kind of, rotate. I'm always on the road. So usually a lot of like hotel shampoo. But when I'm home, yeah, it's usually that Dove stuff.
That Dove stuff?
Yeah, no doubt.
I just use straight old soap, just old bar soap.
Yeah.
Because that's why my hair is going away right there. So that might not be the thing you guys want to do. Yes, Clint, Tuesday show was a good one. Cooper, the best Shimano rep right there. So there you go.
That's right.
Doug, good evening. And Tony, send him a hat every week. How to hero. He's on a roll. He's on a roll right now, winning that question of the night. Kevin's got a good one. And tonight what we're going to do is we're going to give away this Berkeley prize pack. And also, Jake said he might be able to rig up some Best Bite stuff.
Big bite bait.
Big
stuff.
bites.
Yep.
Best
Big bites.
Hell,
Buckeye.
yeah.
Haven't confirmed that, but I've got enough to
We'll
share.
try.
So yeah,
we'll try to do that. If you get the question, and according to Kevin tonight, none of y'all are going to answer the question. So let's get the elephant out of the room first before I get Jake the important stuff with you. Kevin, we got our ass kicked Monday night.
Yes, we did.
We did.
My partner
Allatoona.
let me down.
The partner did let you down.
I never had to holler get the net though. I'm telling you, you were Johnny on the spot.
I was Johnny on the spot. Well, hell, we only had to do it like 2 times. So
3 times.
3 times. Well, you didn't boat flip. We didn't boat flip any of them. We should have.
We did a couple small ones. We weren't keeping.
Yeah, they were. So anyway, we had a good time. And so those guys that we saw on Allatoona on Monday night, hey, you guys that we did get to talk to, appreciate you guys letting me come
It's
down there.
It's different at night, isn't it?
Allatoona's dark. It's dark. I did not realize how dark that lake was. So, but it was a fun time. It's still Allatoona, and I think Lake Lanier has got a lot of us spoiled. I mean, have you fished Allatoona recently, Jake?
Fished it one time with Carcos and when I was in college, but that was it.
Okay, well.
How'd you do then?
Yeah, how'd you do?
We caught a bunch, but they're all micros.
Welcome to Allatoona.
They look like bass, but smaller.
They're getting there. They're getting there. I mean, the bluebacks will eventually help out a little bit, but when I weighed in, I thought we might have had 3 pounds, but we had a little more than that. So,
nice.
But it was a tough night for
4.
everybody. We had 4.33. When Stephen Bardet texts you and says it was a tough night, he only had 9. I didn't feel near as bad. So Lake Lanier got us spoiled ever since I moved out closer to tuna. I feel like I forgot how to fish. Allatoona is a great lake. It is a fun lake. It's just Lanier is a different beast. So, so let's get, guys, if you got questions about Jackall Lures, anything about Shimano, the NPFL, anything like that for Jake, make sure you put it in the comment section so we can ask and get this conversation going. For those that don't know you, and this is your first time on the show, maybe tell everybody a little bit about who you are, what you do, where you've been, and just kind of introduce yourself to the world out there.
Yeah, I'm Jake Maddux. I fished the NPFL. Before I fished the NPFL, I fished the Bass Opens, all 9 for 2 years. Before that, I actually fished at Auburn University. And then before that, I was at Southern Union University. So I did the whole college fishing thing. Grew up in Alabama. My 2 home lakes were Lake Martin and Lake Eufaula. Fished down there in, lower Alabama, LA. But grew up in Birmingham, so I had the whole Coosa River right there too. And then Lake Gunnersville was only about 2 hours away. So spent a lot of time fishing in Alabama. And then recently last year, I moved out this way to the Lake Lanier area, Atlanta area. I'm in Roswell now. So I'm, a quick 25, 30 minutes to Hammonds right up there. That's where I keep my boat right there at Charleston Park. So I call Lake Lanier home now. So
there you go. How was fishing at Auburn?
It was an awesome experience for sure.
I saw some of them guys at ICAST this year.
For sure.
Was you down there?
I was. Yep. I was in the Shimano booth pretty much the whole time.
I never got out of our booth very much.
Yeah, for sure. It was same with us. ICAST's a little different when you get to walk around like we did in college, and then when you're locked in a booth, actually got to work.
You got to work.
Yeah,
it changes the whole perspective.
But it's a pretty cool experience fishing for Auburn. That was the year we did the reclamation series. So we had a whole YouTube series dedicated to following us around on the water for our top 5 teams. We had 102 guys on our team that year. We had qualifiers in the fall. Basically, battled it out in the fall qualifiers. Who got kind of the camera time? The cool thing about Auburn is everybody had an equal opportunity to go to these tournaments.
That's cool.
Yeah, everybody had a hotel room paid for, regardless if you were top 5 or not. And then we did gas reimbursement as far as getting money back for the guys that performed during that tournament, because you don't want a guy that struggles in the fall but can really catch them in the spring to not be able to compete on that stage or qualify for a championship.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough. We did out of the 102 guys on the team, we did our fall qualifiers. I finished, I believe, 3rd in that, and then Garrett Warren, who fishes the Opens now, he was in that group. Tucker Smith, Logan Parks was in that group, and then a couple of my other buddies, Blake Milligan. So a lot of guys that are still in the industry now, fishing, whether they're fishing or working in the industry. They was in that group, and it was a really strong team. We think we won School of the Year that year.
There you go.
So it was a really fun time at Auburn, and we had so many really good lakes very close. So it was a really cool opportunity. You could be to Lake Eufaula in less than an hour, Lake Martin in 35 minutes. Right. Whole Coosa River, Alabama River, any Goat Rock, Oliver, all these little small ponds on the Chattahoochee River,
Right.
West Point.
Yeah.
So spend a lot of time fishing, probably more time on the water than in class. So
Okay, that's what I was getting ready to go. How, nobody cares about the fishing. How was the social life at Auburn?
it was fun. And when it was kind of cool because like that year the fishing team was like so big and such a big deal that like you got recognition on campus for it. Like it
There
was
you
like
go.
actually like a legit thing.
So you
like,
go walking by with that pretty hair, and they're like, "There's that guy that fishes."
Yeah, that's right. That's how I met my wife. So
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Timothy Guy Logan with our first question of the night. Why did they discontinue the squirrels?
That is a very good question because I have bought them all up. I've tried to find them. That wasn't a bait. It got discontinued before I was with Jackall.
Right.
And then it was just something I kind of found out on my own, how good and how lethal it is, especially in cold water.
Yeah.
But it is phenomenal. It doesn't cast that great, but it is a really good bait. And I'm talking with Jackall. Maybe we can bring something back here in the future. Yeah. So
There you go.
I like that's a really good bait. So
Titus Williams. I hear the women are built different out there.
they are built different.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, so we're gonna leave it at that right there. Yeah, they are. I have 10 Shimanos on the deck and 2 on the bottom of Lake Lanier. What's the coordinates of the 2 that are on the bottom of Lake Lanier? We might can go.
We need a
find
diver.
them. We'll do that. Clint Bartlett, do you crank it or jerk it?
Crank it.
I'm assuming we're talking about the
Oh,
squirrel.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Right,
again.
here we're going down that hole.
so yeah. The squirrels are
He
really
did
cool.
say the squirrel. He did.
Yeah. So I like to jerk the squirrel. So it's more of a
Listen, I know you were trying to answer that as serious as you could answer that, but that's going to be the best TikTok I put out. Look at Kevin. Kevin's blowing up again.
I got a good close up on him here.
Word, something you did not expect to be
No.
said tonight for 200, Alex.
I'm telling you.
He's going to jerk the squirrel.
well, I like to pull the squirrel. The squirrel's almost like an old Smithwick Rogue. You know where you would pull the rogue?
You're in the wrong crowd. I know you were trying your best to be
I was
serious.
trying to be professional, but
I'm
What's the
sorry.
difference in the
Listen,
jerk and the
listen,
pull?
You got to understand, we don't take this podcast too seriously.
it's all right.
If you hand us that on a silver platter, that is just,
It'll be a good clip.
we're going to run with that.
It'll be a real good clip.
It's going to be a great clip. He likes to pull the squirrel now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm glad he's not jerking it. I got some really good back and forth on that one, so that's going to make some good cuts.
Did you? Your mom or nothing is watching this.
I hope not. She said she was going to tune in, but
We're sorry, man.
hopefully
wonder
she's
you got
having technical
recognition.
He
difficulties.
got that's why he got recognition at Auburn.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He's like, I am never coming back on this show ever again. Okay, all right. We're sorry. Let's get serious now and get back to a serious question. Pull your squirrel, whatever. How do you work your squirrel?
It's definitely a cold water bait
Yes,
for sure.
Yeah.
I like to pull it, kind of snap it. It doesn't really throw all that great, like I said. So
Yeah.
I throw a lot on a spinning rod in the wintertime.
Okay.
Or on my Shimano. We just came out with a brand new Metanium DC that casts really well. It's the digital control one.
Right.
Kind of spoils you a little bit those cold, windy days. So,
Yeah.
for sure. So
He's just like, in his mind, he's like, I don't know where this is going right there. Timothy wants to know if you had to use the bathroom Monday night. No, he did not. I was looking forward to that. That's a whole nother topic right there. Titus Williams says, this is what we live for. It's not always that serious. We always like to have this show be like if a bunch of us were sitting around a campfire at deer camp or on a boat ramp just talking. This is the way we are. So it is what it is. We would do the same. We would have done that. We'd have had the same laughs Monday night, wouldn't we?
You need to invite him back because this is the most fun I've had in a while.
There you go.
yeah, good.
Well,
So they bring me along.
and listen, hey, that's a T-shirt too. Jerk the squirrel. We're
Yeah.
gonna get that made.
Jerk
So,
squirrel.
hey, Kim Pruitt, who made me my Kiefer shirt. You think we could find that?
You got it. I'll take one.
Jerk the
Extra
squirrel.
large.
All right. So anyway, okay. All right. So let's a serious one. Andy Anderson, Jake, Shimano reels are definitely worth the investment. Can you tell everyone about the rod replacement program with G Loomis, one of the best in the industry, saved Brooks a ton of time? Tons of
Yeah.
time.
So the cool thing is originally G Loomis had if you break it, no problem, swap it over the counter. You're paying, $300, $400, $500, $600 for a
Yeah.
fishing pole. You want to be able to replace it the problem was people were abusing that program.
Yes, they did.
And when the newest generation come out, snap it over the knee, cut it with a chainsaw or with a sawzall or whatever. And G Loomis has a machine that to a T can see exactly how that rod was broken. The cool thing is now with G Loomis's warranty is it has a barcode on the actual rod itself. 30 days within buying the rod, you can plug that in the system in your account, and then you're good to go. If you have any problems, they have an expediter program where you can literally, if it breaks, you can pay $100 and get a brand new one.
Yeah.
So
like that, that's good. And so Andy is Brooks' dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So
yeah.
one of our favorite guests right there. If we'd have done what we did to you, if Brooks was on here though, Brooks would
he'd be red-faced.
Oh, he would. He's so shy.
Brooks and I went fishing the other day.
Did you really?
Yeah. He knew I was boatless, so luckily he took me. So.
I love Brooks. So, and hey Andy, your son had a lot of fun in Florida.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say nothing more than that. Brooks is going to kill me tomorrow. But okay, all right. So, and that's one thing when buying rods. If we're being serious, the warranty. But I know exactly what you're talking about, people abusing them and all that.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than a guy come in and he bought a very sensitive spinning rod. Yeah, I tried to boat flip a 7-pounder, and you're like, dude, you shouldn't, you got to know what you're like, but so on a serious note, what is a squirrel? It's a crankbait type bait.
It's jerkbait.
Jerkbait that they used to make.
2-hook jerkbait excels in cold water.
Are we in trouble with Miss Terry already?
No, she just got home, so she missed that part.
She missed that part. Get it. It is the best jerkbait ever.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you that. What is the best jerkbait right now in your opinion?
So that's a hard one. I'm a very big jerkbait guy. Like I have a lot of different ones, and I'm not going to exclude the ones I'm not even sponsored by in this show.
No.
So
be honest. By all means.
Shimano came out with one called a World Diver and World Minnow, and it has a flash boost technology in it. It excels in cold water also. It's a bigger profile. We just came out with one called the Zinverno. We've had it out for a while, the smaller version out for a while, but we came out with a bigger version. It's got a cool weight transfer system called Jet Boost, cool scale boost technology. This one gets down deeper, quicker than any other jerkbait on the market. It's, I like this one. I obviously throw a lot of the Mega Bass. I throw a Jackall re-range a lot too. It's a really aggressive bait, and it just seems to catch them, especially up north for whatever reason. That Jackall re-range really excels.
All right, well, let me put you on the spot because this is what I do.
Yeah.
You only get one for the rest of your life. Think it through.
Probably Jackall re-range.
Yeah, good.
Jackall re-range is probably gonna be the one I throw the most. Just because they have colors that just for whatever condition. A pearl one, a pro blue one. Just your simple stuff, but they look really good and they cast really far. That's the biggest thing with jerkbait. Is you want a bait that casts really far. So probably that Jackall re-range.
So let me ask you this. Tony says I love the stunner. Been a big fish bait for me. Coming from Alabama to over here around Lake Lanier. Have you noticed how your jerkbait game has kind of changed? Is it as prominent in Alabama as it is over here?
Yeah, it's really prominent in Alabama.
Yeah.
I threw it a lot though. It was kind of a confidence bait for me. But at Lanier especially, I had to do a little bit more modifications to it.
Yeah.
To get him to bite it. So
right. So Michael Temples, and you remember that question I was asking you earlier? We're talking about this. So we did talk about that. So I was explaining to him that I've had some people talk about baits that are melting. And you kind of mentioned something about what plastic does and certain things. So kind of explain that a little bit.
Yeah, some of that ABS plastic stuff, it'll crack whenever it's under a lot of pressure. Like leaving it in your car is never good for any bait, regardless if it's a Strike King, a Jackall, a Mega Bass. They're going to crack under heat, especially if you leave them like in a box. For whatever reason, I just think it just gets like some sort of pressure deal, and then they need to invent a box that like doesn't let that happen, because
the kind of pressure builds up, and
I think the pressure builds up and they start to expand.
And that can kind of lead to a deformity here.
Yeah, deformity. Like I've got some like jerk baits that still do well. Like I have a Mega Bass. It's one of the silent versions that expanded like that, and it still catches a lot of fish. But I had to I got like nail polish the finishing stuff and just went over it and just make sure it was sealed. So it wouldn't leak. So
it's more so the type of plastic.
Yeah. I think it's just all the plastic that guys are using, just especially to get like the nice, cool finishes on baits.
Yeah.
With the scale patterns and everything. I think that's just what makes it expand.
And
so.
you mentioned that a lot of like aftermarket where guys are painting baits.
Yeah, if you paint a bait, I've never had it happen. I think it just kind of really keeps it from opening up and expanding.
Yeah. And it could have been that certain run of plastic that time might be just a little thinner or something, or I mean,
yeah, most of our stuff is all pretty much like we got it down to a science as far as like it's very consistent throughout our baits.
Yeah.
But that being said, just don't leave stuff in the heat. And I'm bad about it because I'll cut something off and throw it in the box and forget about it. I have a pile of stuff after practicing for a tournament and not putting stuff up. And then I'm like, oh, let me just put it in a cardboard box and put it in my truck. And then I look at it, I'm like, oh, wait, I have a rusty pile of lures that are all expanded and stuff. So I've been getting better at it, but yeah, it's just try not to keep them in this direct sunlight or like in your car. That's the biggest thing.
Okay. All right. So 6 cents based will bust in the hot sun.
Yeah.
So that's that expansion you're talking about. Does that Jackall come in chartreuse, striped, AYU? IU? I'll just say AYU.
No, we used to have a color in the squad minnow that was kind of like that. It was more like a thread. We called it like a Alabama Matte Shad. We don't have one right now, but we're looking at some new colors and stuff. So my favorite one is just TN thread fin. So
yeah, okay.
That's probably the most similar one.
If you were going on Lake Lanier right now with the baits that you got on here, and we're going to go over all of them, I'm kind of curious, what bait would you be using? And then we can talk about that bait. Like if you had to pick one right now to go to Lake Lanier.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be this underspin right here or my spoon. It would be one of these two.
Okay, and so what is the underspin first, and then we'll talk about the spoon.
For sure. So this underspin is a Buckeye Lures Sioux spin. I saw you had some on the wall over there.
Yeah.
It's a really good one. And then the plastic that's on it's a new Big Bite Stealth color. Okay. So it's actually see-through plastic.
It is. I like it.
And then they've got got some little sparkles and stuff, and it really glows, especially in that clear water Lake Lanier sunny days.
Let me hold it up to let me go this way where it's darker behind.
Yeah, or maybe put your hand behind it.
Yeah, so if I hold it, with that black, you can kind of see it is translucent. And I know we don't have a up close camera, but that is a good looking bait, and that looks like a bait designed for forward facing sonar.
Yeah, for sure.
As far as the profile of the bait, and it's not a paddle tail, of course. So
you got a pink tip to it.
Yeah, so that one's actually got some pink sparkles in it. We have one with pink sparkles, purple sparkles, and blue and lime green sparkles. So just kind of that lime green one really works well on Lanier, especially like when they catch the herring catch that sun, they almost look like that olive kind of blue color. But we've been experimenting a little bit with it, and it's been a really good one.
Tell me about this underspin, because basically Tuesday night show was talking about underspins.
Yeah, for sure.
To be honest, the Buckeyes don't get talked about a lot around here. So tell me a little bit about that underspin and, the action, the finish. And, my biggest complaint with underspins is they'll blow out or roll if you burn them.
Yeah, for sure.
How is that one?
So this one's got a narrower head up towards the top, so you're able to burn it. A lot of them are weight forward, in which like the spot sticker is a really good underspin, or the spot choker, excuse me. That's a really good underspin. But this one's actually a little bit different. It's got a narrower cone, so this one's almost made to crawl. Okay. So it's a little bit different. I think that spot choker might be better for like burning a little bit quicker. This one's good at like short little burst of speed. It's not really great as fast as you can go. It'll kind of roll on its side a little bit. That's when I pick up the spot choker one. But talking with the guys at Buckeye, one of the cool things is being working with Buckeyes. You get to kind of bounce ideas back and forth, and we're gonna got something coming out that'll be made for speeding it up right now. But yeah, I've been catching a lot of fish on this bait right now. It's got a lot bigger hook than your traditional like underspin. It does. Too.
That was my next question.
So you can put a little bit bigger bait on there. So they've got something in the works. So I'll just say that.
Just say that. Yeah. So it's coming.
Yeah, we got something coming.
I like that. So now you talked about the spoon.
Yeah.
Now this is a new product from Jackall.
Yeah,
right,
for sure. So this is the counterback spoon. It's been out in Japan for several years now. It's actually designed by Koya Fujita. It took him 3 years to design this bait. The first thing you'll notice is the asymmetrical shape. It's not even like a normal spoon. And what this does is it allows the bait to backslide. And so why is that important? Well, traditional flutter spoons are great. Like, the Nichols ones, they catch a lot of fish. But when you're using forward-facing sonar, like live scope or active target, you want to be super accurate with these fish. And like right now, Lake Lanier, anywhere really in the Southeast where fish are starting to suspend really hard,
Mm-hmm.
you want to be able to target those bigger fish in the schools accurately, and you don't want to bait that flies past their face. This one is going to be one that I can hit them exactly. If they're sitting in a tree, like a timber patch, 45 foot down, I can hit them at 45 foot down with a spoon. What's crazy about the spoon is if it lands at 40, say it lands at 50 feet and it's 25 feet deep, the spoon will actually backslide all the way to 70. And so one of the things I like to do, it's kind of a sneakier deal, it's really started to catch on, is flipping a spoon on marina docks. And so you have all these big boats. Sometimes you can't make the spoon go where you need it to go in the very back of the slip. This spoon will actually help you get it all the way to the back.
Because it's gonna go back.
Yep.
So what causes that motion?
That cupping, and then it's actually a little bit thicker towards the rear, so it allows it to slide backwards.
Yeah. And you guys with our cameras, again, we don't have a close up, so you really, in that light, the color on it is amazing. And I know the cameras don't do it justice. But yeah, if you can see it, son of a gun.
Hold it
sharp.
Hold it right in front of the mic.
Huh?
Hold it in front of the mic, the background of the mic.
Hold it close to Kevin's camera. I mean, to that camera. See, I don't know if it'd be in focus. Not Kevin's, but put it back on Jake. Yeah, you back it up a little bit. Yeah, it's not that bad, but hold it where they can see the cupping on it. Yeah, it's a little bit different.
You can eat ice cream with it.
You really could.
Yeah, it's a big.
So if you were stranded on the island, you can take the hook off. You could eat you some beanie weenies with the
That's
thing.
right.
But that is what it thicker towards the rear reminds me of ... And we can go down that road a lot.
That looks like a good all around size too.
Yeah, for sure. It's
too small.
Yeah, 4.7 inches long. So you don't need a huge giant rod to throw it with. We make a rod called the large moving bait rod. It's a 7.4 heavy with a little bit of tip. It's actually designed for throwing a smaller glide bait around cover.
It's good looking spoon.
But yeah, and that's one of my favorite colors, especially for Lanier, is it's called Japan bait. Yeah.
The finish on it is absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, and we got a chrome one also. I think we just call that one silver shad.
Got some scales in here, got a little roughage, so if they do hit it, it's
there's
some
for sure.
feel, natural feel and all that. I'm not a big spoon guy, but I would feel pretty confident putting one of those on. Spoon jacking the boat dock, great way to catch some big ones. The worldwide spoons were the OGs for that.
Yep.
This is a good looking bait. What's the name of it again?
It's called the Jackall Counterback spoon.
Counterback. And so right now you can get them at Hammond's.
Yep.
You can get them at the dugout.
Yep. Dugout, tackle warehouse. A lot of places starting to get them, but they're selling out quick. So I caught a bunch of big ones on it. When my brother came up and we went and fished Lanier. Caught a couple of 4-pounders on it and posted on the story. And then, next thing you know, they shipped, got to Hammond's, and, most of them sold out pretty quick. They think they have like three colors left. They got a few of them, but they're like gold, bluegill, and like white. Mm-hmm. But I took the bluegill one out just because I was curious. And it's cool because it's like almost like an olivey kind of color with a little bit of blue. It's got the stripes and everything, and it's got kind of chrome on the back of it. And actually, they really like that one on Lanier. I think that's going to be a sneaky one.
Would that 6 colors you said?
6 colors, yep.
Yeah, but would that bluegill one be a good one for even guys that are in the back of pockets flipping under docks?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. Like like I said earlier, like one of my home lakes, Lake Eufaula, they eat a lot of offshore brim beds and stuff out there. Like a lot of the schools are related to brim. So
yeah. So Tony says the spoon is a lure I really want to learn. I used one a little on Saturday, but only got lookers. That is spoon would be a weak bait for me.
Yeah.
But you really got to commit to them and fish, and I don't do that enough. But I do know that this year on Lanier, the spoon bite's been pretty good. Here lately, the spoon bite's been pretty good. Then the cool thing, and that's kind of thinking about the credge, all that. A lot of these baits now have got that backwards motion, right? That's coming for the forward-facing sonar guys. Yep. So I mean, is that designed because of that? Do you think
it was designed for forward-facing sonar, but it's going to really excel for the guys that want to like flip boat docks and that kind of stuff as well, like especially like around cover. Some of the spoons on the market, you'll flip it at a pylon on a bridge or something, suspended fish, and it would actually go away from the pylon. And I want mine up close to the pylon because I want them to be able to pin it up against something. It's a big bait for fish. Big fish want to pin bait up against something and pin it and eat it. Yeah. So
I think that's probably one of the best looking spoons I've seen out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, it's a beautiful spoon.
It's a beautiful spoon.
I'd buy it.
You buy it?
I'd buy it.
But you're a shallow water fisherman. I fished with you.
It still looks good.
It does look good. I'll say that.
I'm like some of the guests that are coming in, and I don't throw it enough to feel confident with it. So I need to get out there and try that.
That is the thing. So, I mean, for somebody who has never spoon fished before, give me a tip or tactic that will help them catch more fish.
So
maybe the setup.
Yeah, the setup is going to be, I like a 7.4 rod. We make a rod called the large moving bait rod. It's LM, whatever that I just said.
Yeah.
Large moving bait rod. It's designed actually to throw like, smaller glides and stuff up around cover.
Right.
Be able to make an accurate cast, but I don't like a super big rod for it because this only weighs, this is 1.3 ounces. So it's big, but it's not too
overly
big. Yeah, it's 4.7 inches. So I like a smaller rod. I feel like I have more control with it. That 7.6, I might pull it too far, too little, and I might be out of position whenever one does hit it on the fall because they're going to hit it on the fall most of the time.
Because that's when you're going to get the most of your bites is on the fall.
Yep, for sure. And the art of surprise is really big with this spoon. A lot of times, like when they're sitting on a piece of timber or, over a brush pile, sometimes I like to throw it past it and like almost drag it almost to it and then start reeling it in really quick. Linear, you can actually just straight reel the spoon and they'll eat it a lot of the times rather than just like actually pulling it. But majority of the time, they're going to bite it. They're either going to bite it or they're not when they first see it. So if they don't see it, if they don't bite it as soon as they see it, a lot of times you're not going to be able to catch the fish on like linear. At Altoona, I'm assuming, or like you follow any of these other lakes, that's when you want to like actually pull it. Just something about linear, they're just so pressured. They kind of know what's up whenever you try to give them a bite. There's so many fish out there, you might as well just find another one to throw at. So
yeah, that was going to lead to my next question. We were talking to Kevin Underwood on Tuesday night. He was talking about, you got your bait, you got your presentation on it, but actually trying to match what a herring actually does. When you have them, you're looking at this spoon on forward facing sonar. Let's say you got them nosing up to it, but they're not committed. Is there something a guy can do, a quick movement, speed it up with a reel that might entice the bite with the spoon?
Yep. So like I learned this early on with big bait fishing, throwing glides and stuff, is speed kills. And when you have a follower, the majority of the time, if you slow that thing down and like creep it, and you're getting close to the boat, you're like, oh, I hope he eats it before he gets to the boat. You're not going to catch that fish 9 times out of 10.
That's exactly what Kevin said.
You want to speed it up. Speed kills on Herring Lake, speed kills on Clearwater fisheries in the fall. This is the clearest time of the year on these lakes. And there's so many fish on this lake, there's more to throw at. So
I'm glad you said that because for a second I thought you were going to say slow down. I'm going, all right, so I got a Tuesday night guest that says speed it up because he says it's fleeing. Yeah. Very rarely does a herring just stop and say, okay, eat me.
Yeah.
It's running. And so speed. So there we go. We're verified two times by two guests on 2 different episodes. Speed kills like that. So I'm very glad you said that point. What is the biggest mistake you see guys make when trying to learn how to throw a spoon?
Rod tip out of position for sure, because they eat it on the fall, and a lot of times they'll have their rod up here and they have nowhere to go but back. Like they don't have anywhere to go, so
can't get a hook set.
They can't get a hook set in them. And then when they do, they'll tear a hole in their mouth. And then the biggest thing too with landing them is I will never go down and grab one. I'll never grab a net. They're coming in the boat, just boat flip them and just have their mouth full of water and just start skiing them. I don't care if they're 5 pounds, 6 pounds, 7 pounds, just ski them to the boat and grab them.
Okay.
Or ski them in the boat and flip them. So,
and that's with a spoon.
Yep, with a spoon.
And why is that? Because
it's a heavy bait, and they have more leverage when it's flopping around and everything. When you have their just full of water in their mouth, they can't fight, they can't do anything. So I want to purposely try to get their mouth full of water, ski them to the surface to where they can't do anything except come in the boat.
I like that. There you go.
Good analogy. 3 o'clock position, rod tip, or what?
Yeah, I like to keep it. Like I'll do like short little snaps, or I'll even use my reel. A lot of times I'll use my reel and burn it.
Yeah.
So that way I'm never out of position. And it's just getting comfortable, like watching this, especially watching the spoon on live scope. It's a lot easier to learn quicker because before that I never had live scope, and you'd have to figure out kind of where you want your rod. If you were back here, there's a lot of learning period. The cool thing though is like if you lose one on a spoon, there's probably another one that's going to come and eat it. Yeah, it's a very competitive bait. Yeah. And it works really well when there's a lot of fish together in schools. So.
Oh, absolutely. Something going off of what you just said, I kind of noticed it with the cast guys. I've noticed it with some other people with flukes and stuff. A lot of people used to use their rods a lot, but now guys are using their reels more so that they'll keep their rods at a certain, but they're using the reels to impart that action as
Right.
opposed to, the big rod flips and stuff like that. So he said that it's just something I've noticed with some of the guests here over the last 6 months are talking more about using the reel.
Yep.
To
for sure. That's a big thing with the big baits too, is just like doing half turns and full turns and stuff. So kind of that same big bait mentality a little bit.
Yeah. I want you to show that bait that you were showing us with the that's
lip.
A good spoon. Yeah, with the lip. Now you guys check this out. So this is something, and don't even ask me to remember the name of it.
So Jackall drift fry. See it right there. That's been a bait that's been hard to get for a long time. It's been in Japan for a while. You see Koi Fujita win a lot of money on it.
Yeah.
But basically all that lip right there.
It's like a crankbait.
Yep.
Lip.
So it
soft plastic.
It'll actually roll on itself.
You can see it against my shirt.
That was down at ICAST.
Yep.
Yeah. I remember seeing it now.
So
if y'all look at my shirt, you can kind of see at the end, you got that little bit of a clear lip, but it is plastic.
Yep.
It's plastic, and it's an awesome looking bait.
So it's made for mid strolling. That's a little bit bigger size. So like I like that one more pre-spawn. I brought it just to show you guys how cool it is. Rocks back and forth. This time of year, I really like to lean towards the big bite.
How's it rigged with a hook?
I'll just put it in right here. I'll give some juice up real quick.
Okay, get some juice.
So with the drift fry, I just go right in there with the nose. There's a little dot, and I put my head, and I use a lot lighter head on the drift fry than I do like on the depth Sakamata or anything like that. For whatever reason, this bait is a very user-friendly bait. It mid-strolls, shakes side to side.
Almost like spy bait kind of
with ease. Wobble. With ease. That's what that bill is made for. So any other bait, like say like right now when they're eating some of the smaller stuff, right now the herring's pretty big, later in the year, but like other lakes, the threadfin gets a lot smaller and stuff. Yeah. This is one that I really like, and it's that big bite minnow, and I like it with that. This is the Ryugi Vespa head. This is a 16th version.
Is that tungsten?
This is, yep. So this is a super light wire hook. There's a couple different heads that I use. I'm sponsored by Ryugi, and this is the one I use whenever I want to keep it up further in the water column. If I'm going to use a jig head deeper than 25 feet and bigger than 1/4 ounce or 1/4 ounce, I'll, instead of rigging it straight on like this, I'll rig it to where the hook point comes in at the top of the bait.
Oh,
like so. Almost
like you would do old live. Remember how they used to do the old live minnows right at the top?
And it doesn't look like much. It still looks pretty straight. It just has that little bitty nub right there.
Yeah.
And what that does is it acts like that.
Gives
same.
It that.
Yep.
And so just by repositioning the ball head.
Yep.
And so again, I don't know if you can kind of tell it against my face right there. It's not dead on. It's coming, and what he did was he came in through the very top. So maybe let's see here. Yeah, let me get the black background over here. You can kind of see it. It's not coming into the end of the bait. It's right. Yeah. It's right on the head, and I've kind of jacked up your hook a little bit, but that's a pretty interesting tip.
And then it
imparts a rock as well.
Yeah, a little bit more rock, because it can look really good by the side of your boat, but when it's out there 40, 50, 60, 70 foot out, it may not be doing what you need it to do. Another cool thing is if I'm fishing shallower than 20 foot with a 1/4 ounce head, I'll rig it straight on like normal, but I'll purposely go back further with the hook point and purposely almost make it crooked, like not almost bunched up on there, and that'll give it more roll also.
Okay, so yeah, sheesh, with the cameras right there.
So it's kind of bent.
We need to put a camera
right in front of you.
Hey, you know what, Ken Pruitt?
Yeah.
Come here, buddy.
I'll send my assistant out.
Yeah, that camera right there. Can you zoom that one in? It's one of the, hell, I don't know. There's a button on top. I don't know how to work any of these things. That's what Josh is for.
I don't think it's moving.
No, it's not. There we go. Keep coming. Keep coming.
See how far it'll go.
Keep coming. Keep coming. Stop. Now we might be able to do it right there.
Yeah, look at your monitor.
Okay,
there
so
you go.
Let's do this whole segment again. Start with a regular rig. Pop it back up. Pop it back on him for a second. Start with. I want to show them the 3 different rigs that you did.
Yeah.
We'll start with the regular one, and pop it back on me that close up. I want to show them the lip on this bait, if you can, Tim. No, you're good. Leave that camera where it's at. Tim, can you do that close up on me again? All right, so there we go. So now you can see with this soft plastic, it looks like it's got the lip of a crankbait right there, but it is soft plastic built into it right there. That is, and look, you can almost slip it like that.
You said a weighted hook that you're putting on?
Yeah, weighted hook. I'm using just this is Ryugi. This is a Vespa.
Badass looking bait right there. What is this again?
I'll use anywhere from a 16th to a about a 3/8 max on that one. 3/8 max on that bait. It prefers a lighter one. I like a lot of the jig heads I'm using is in grams, so I don't really know what the equivalent is. I just know what it looks like.
Every time something's in grams or millimeters, I'm like, I'm screwed.
Yeah. So
all right, give me the straight up normal way you.
So normally I'm just gonna rig it. I'm
just gonna show them once you rig it. I'm gonna show them the.
Just this is just your traditional
Okay, yeah.
Everybody knows how everyone rigs it now.
All right, so there you go. Your regular straight,
and I would call that a medium roll.
A medium roll.
Yeah.
So when you say a medium roll, that's the action you're going to get.
Yeah.
So this is going to give you a little bit of this, just a medium. All right. I do that second one when you came in at the top of the head.
So when I'm using anything bigger than a 1/4 ounce and deeper than 20 feet, this is what I'm doing. I'm actually rigging it. I don't even know how.
Let me show them that part too, how you come into the top of the head real quick. All right. So instead of it being on the end, of course, we've butchered this thing up.
Yeah, he's a little.
He's had better days.
Yeah, no doubt.
So he's coming in more. Well, hell, I got the damn thing upside down. There we go. So he's coming in through the top, not through the end. So if you can kind of see that, it's not much.
Yeah, not much at all. And then
maybe about 1/8 of an inch up. Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey guys, this would be something that we'll just keep that camera on close up from here on out.
Yeah.
In every episode, and I'll figure out how to use it. Yeah. And while he's doing that. So now if you look at it. Okay. Well, you might not be able to tell. Let me figure out how to turn.
Just has a slight little nub.
You can kind of see where it's just got this right here. Would be the end. So it's kind of sticking up on the forehead a little bit.
Yep.
Now, when you do this, what was the reason you did this again?
It's going to be a more aggressive roll deeper.
And so when you get down deep, this thing's going to give you that action.
Because the problem is it has the right action when it's on the side of the boat or you do it in a pool, but when it's on a 70 or 80 foot cast and it's 20 feet down, it's not doing what you think it's doing a lot of the time.
Okay.
And that's with the 1/4 ounce.
That's with the 1/4 ounce.
The 1/4 ounce higher. And that was what you said that we got a very little.
This is a 16th. This is just for example.
So, and then now's the one that you're gonna.
And then if I'm going to want a super aggressive roll up higher in the water column, I'm going to purposely rig this bait crooked. I'm going to go further back on the bait to where it's almost like bunched up, to where it kind of has
a little bit of
bend. It looks goofy.
Okay, so here we go. Yeah, because that's about the way I rig up.
Most of us should be able to rig it like that with no problem.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's a normal rig for me. But you can see, again, I'm learning this as you guys. We're doing this on the fly. There is more of a bend on the other side right here.
Yep.
Turn it the other way. I think.
If you keep it right there at the mic, go to your left a little bit. There you go. You're dead center of my camera frame.
All right, there you go. So, and this is, so if you're in the upper water column, you're want to get more of a roll. And you can kind of see it, even though it's just subtle, it is bent.
Yep.
In that. So it's just, you're talking about 1/8 of an inch.
Yeah, I mean, it's not much. And that's just like,
that's 1/8 of an inch.
That's just playing around with minnows for a long time.
There, people.
Yeah, experimenting.
Hey, put it back on there. Just want to prove my wife I got my wedding ring right there. So there you go.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. Now, right now, you said that can you do anything like that with the underspin? Do you know how to manipulate an underspin?
I've been playing with it a little bit, but I still have to play with it to see what I'm working on some stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
But no, I nothing for sure that I can say, but I'm always looking for that, experimenting with stuff and doing that kind of deal.
I got you. So, is that something you can't say because it's juice, or is that?
No, I seriously just in the middle of playing with
He's still trying.
I'm trying all these other baits,
I got you.
So.
I got you.
Getting some good juice.
Oh, we're getting. Listen,
we'll get.
You know what? You don't think about it, but just changing that ball head
3 different ways.
3 different ways, 1/8 of an inch on a small bait like that gives you 3 different. Because most people don't think about that with a ball head and a jig.
No, and then a lot of people, the outside looking in, that they just think it's just a jig head minnow. It's a mid-strolling technique, but a lot of people are like, "Oh, this is groundbreaking, evolutionary." It's walleye guys been doing it forever. But the Sakamata shad, the depths one, that's the hardest bait to get in the country right now.
Right.
4 years ago, they were $4 on Japanese websites. That's where I get a lot of my tackle, is the Japanese sites. And, weren't a big deal. I could get them whenever. And then I was watching an old Champlain video, 2001 Shin Fukai won on it. And now it's like, yeah, and they've had it out forever. And so, like, in Japan, the mid-strolling technique is almost like our square bill crankbait, where it's a very limited time of year. They don't use it a ton. Everyone thinks that, like, all the Japanese guys, that's all they're doing, but they're about 10 steps ahead of us. And I think we can stay about 1 step behind them, but they're about 10 steps ahead of everybody else.
Let me ask you about that. That's something that we haven't discussed too much on this show. Why do you think the Japanese are ahead of us in everything? And it seems like every new thing comes out of Japan.
Yeah, for sure.
Surely we've got more lakes, more anglers, more, we got the technology. Why are they ahead of us?
Desperation to catch fish is their deal. So think about this. Their lake, so Lake Biwa, it's pretty equivalent to Lake Gunnersville. Like, it's a very fishing town. There's a lot of, that's where it all goes down. It's like the lake to be on. There's some smaller stuff, creeks and all that deal. But that's like the lake. Say if you take Lake Gunnersville and you took Osaka is bigger than New York City by population. And you stuck Osaka on or New York City on Lake Gunnersville, and the entire population fished, or not the entire, but a lot of them fished. A lot of them fished, and we're all very they have to get innovative to catch fish, and that's how we're at right now. That's why you see a lot of guys using the spinning stuff, and they're adapting new Japanese techniques. It's because it's harder to get bit more than ever, but with live scope and everything, we're actually catching more fish too, which is it kind of is a weird deal. But like, you see some of these power fishing techniques not be as dominant, right, because they've had their brains beat in for 20, 30 years now.
Yeah.
So I
didn't think about that. There's just so many of them on the water over there, because it's on an island too. There's only X amount of water.
Yeah,
to get the
for
fish.
sure. And it's a lot harder to not everyone has boats. The majority of people that fish there fish off the bank. And so it's hard to get a fishing spot there. They see so many lures. The guys that do fish, they're fishing like rock piles, individual rock piles with schools of fish on it. There's grass on B-Wall too. There's hydrilla and there's milfoil and that kind of stuff too, but less grass than what there used to be, for sure. And this is all coming from my buddies that I talk to that live over there.
Do they have to deal with pleasure boaters and cabin cruisers?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, throw that into the mix too. And
I don't, not that I know. I'm sure there's like some canoers or something, but I don't think that they do. But
they have to restock their lakes too.
So the Japanese is weird because it's an invasive species. It was brought over by the U.S. military, to give when they were stationed there, to have something for the guys to do. The invasive species. So up until recently, bass were you're supposed to kill them if you caught them. They're invasive species. But the bass anglers, really fought against that and started doing the catch and release stuff. So I don't know what the stocking programs are over there, but I know it's not great.
Yeah.
So.
But they produce some hell of the anglers are just fantastic.
They are, yeah. So like they just pick up on smaller details a lot quicker, and that's why kind of see. And like what's kind of crazy too is like you have certain anglers that are Japanese that are straight power fishermen, like Kenta Kimura, and then you have guys like Koi Fujita and Taku Itu that are more that finesse-y kind of style too. So it depends on what your part of the island you're on and that kind of stuff too, but. There's a lot of different stuff, and I'm pretty in depth with all the Japanese stuff. Hey,
you might as
well find an edge. So,
well, I get the guys. Hey, in about 12 minutes, we're going to be doing the question of the night. Kevin says it's the unanswerable question, so we'll see.
It's a very tough.
It's going to be a tough question. You're going to have to know a little thing. We're probably going to give you a hint on this, and after about 30 minutes. Yeah, it's only one answer, right?
They should need a hint then.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. So Farmer says power fishermen are a dying breed. I think everything's cyclical.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
I think power fishing will come back as more people learn the offshore game. When guys are looking for an edge, you'll see some guys start drifting back towards the banks a little bit.
Yeah. And the cool thing too is it is a cycle, and we're at a time when we're a really cool time with the scope and everything because this is the first, like, it's almost like a renaissance period to
Mhm.
make new baits for that. And the baits that we have right now, there's not going to say limited, but they're a lot smaller just because we're learning how to do it. And like mid strolling, throwing a drop shot, those like without live scope, those are still fish catchers that just catch them.
That's right.
So it's hard for these guys to put it down. And then you're going to see more baits that once power fishermen kind of adapt the technology, you'll have newer baits that come with that, like jigs and once guys learn that you can flip with live scope. Like I catch them all the time off bed with live scope. I catch them flipping grass with live scope. So you'll figure out how to incorporate it. There's times where you need to turn it off for sure.
Yeah.
I was pretty against it for the longest time, and kind of got around it.
Well, let's talk about that little evolution, because I know some guys that were like, "I'll never have it. I'll never have it. I'll never have it."
Yeah.
And by God, they all got it. They all love it. So you were against it. What was it? The competition aspect that made you get it?
Well, so the first year I fished the opens, it was a very shallow water year fishing. Like we went to like Red River, Chesapeake Bay, Ross Barnett, like all these places where like I was in heaven. Like I was like, I get to swim a jig and frog and flip every tournament. This is awesome. And then I think going into, I used it at Hartwell and I used it at a couple of different ones, and I was like, there's definitely some power here. My roommate Logan Parks was really good with it, and so he would like tell me something about like what he found. Like we would share a lot of the same info and stuff. He would like tell me like what he found. I'm like, wait, what? And then like Sam Rayburn, I kind of our last term of the year started to kind of figure it out, and I needed to catch I think 12 pounds both days to make the Elite Series. Broke down the first day. I caught 12 pounds, but I broke down in front of the ramp, but realized that I didn't even need a motor. If I would have just stayed by the ramp and live scoped, probably would have been on the Elites, and so I figured out better learn how to do that really quick, or I'm going to get left behind. And that was a shallow water year too, and I feel like everyone was kind of learning how to use it. Like that same year, one of the Elite Series guys said that only 1% of the Elite Series guys know how to use live scope, and that was 2021. And now I think that probably like 80% of the guys in the Elite Series know how to use it. Probably 100 of them, honestly.
Know how to use it, but
yeah, but like know the full potential of it. It's not just like something you throw in your boat. Like I would say 100% of them now know the full potential of it.
Yeah.
So like even the guys that are against it, like they know how powerful it is.
Yeah.
So
you think it's taken away from tournament fishing? I know that's the elephant in the room.
No, I don't think so.
I don't either, but
I don't think so. I think it's a scheduling thing. I think if you have, I would love to go to the Red River. I would love to go to Sabine River. I'd love to go to Lake Guntersville in the fall. Like I want to go places where we can have potential to catch giant bags. Well, Red River and Sabine are not like that, but I want potential to be able to catch them shallow and have those highlight reels and all that stuff. I want to catch them the fun way. Like we're going to Saginaw Bay, and
that's with the NPFL.
That's with the NPFL. That's our next tournament, and that's going to be a really kind of a tough tournament, because it's going to pull me both different ways. It's like, do I go do what I know to do to win, or do I go do what I feel like I'm really good at? And so I feel like the thing I'm really good at, I want to max out at a top 10 or get in a check. But if I go smallmouth fishing, it's 0 or 0. So do you incorporate both of them? Do you not? Do you go? Because I mean, we can fish all of Lake Huron. We have no off limit. We have no boundary.
Really?
We don't have to stay in Saginaw Bay. Saginaw Bay itself is bigger than Lake Okeechobee. You can fit 2 St. Clairs inside Saginaw Bay.
Wow.
That being said, there's a lot of great fishing. 100 miles away. That, could happen. Could go down, but that place gets pretty sporty. The place is the most dangerous lake on the.
Lord, that's that lake where you're looking at them and it's up and down and
it's the most dangerous lake on the. It's the most dangerous Great Lake. There's more shipwrecks out there than any other Great Lake.
Hey, you know what I'm talking about? You've seen them like on videos when the guy's out there in the middle and the wave comes up, and then next thing you know, he's disappeared.
Yeah, I'm gonna have my pawpaw chair in that one.
I don't know how in the world that's what I was gonna say. I don't know how them guys keep their balance. Now I guess the northern guys are used to it a little bit.
I don't know how they drive it. That's still rough.
Yeah, like the Saginaw Bay we fished in college. It's 45-minute idle out of the ramp to get out of the river into the lake.
45-minute idle
to get out of to the lake to the bay. And I just remember seeing all white, and then I saw a boat go up, and then he went down. I never saw him again. Don't know.
The hell with that.
And I said, I've never been scared in a bass boat until that day. Like,
yeah,
or like maybe like the first time I was like younger, you know, in a bass boat, like,
but as a pro, or
but like literally
tournament.
like, yeah, in a tournament being scared. And I had to learn how to drive in it that day. And once you kind of ride in the troughs and you do your thing, instead of going in like a straight direction to your location, you have to kind of be safe and go, you know, around a point, or like if there's a point 10 miles away, get inside that point where it blocks the wind, and, you know, you learn how to drive. It's actually not as bad as you think driving that big stuff, but when you spear one, you're gonna destroy your graphs. Like, you got to take all your graphs off. You got to make sure your troll motor's ratchet strapped down. It's no joke. Like, it's like
not.
It's straight up, you can die out there. So it's
and I've never been up there. I've never fished in it, but I've seen enough video to know that it's sketchy.
No, it's definitely sketchy. You got to be careful with it.
And is that on like a calm day? Like a good
no,
day?
well, the problem is Saginaw Bay, the way it is if it's a north wind, those waves will build up and get bigger and bigger and bigger until they hit shore. So even if it blew yesterday, but it's calm today, you're like, oh, look, the weather's great to go fishing. You get out there, those waves hadn't hit the bank yet.
Because the lake's
they're
so
getting
big.
bigger, because it's like a snowball effect. They're just going to continually get bigger.
Never thought
So,
about that.
yeah.
More water down it.
I mean, I think from Saginaw Bay to the other side of land is 210 miles.
Okeechobee's 34 miles across.
Yep.
Wow. I have never thought about a wave starting yesterday and just getting it to you.
Yeah.
I mean, on the ocean, of course, but like on a lake.
Yeah. So, it is an ocean. It's going to be, that's going to be an interesting tournament, and then you have it's such a good largemouth fishery. Like, I went there in college and I caught 60 to 100 fish a day on a frog, and you would throw it out there and it would they would V-line to it. You'd throw it in the pocket and one would come from over there. And
is it very clear water?
It's clear water, and it's like that deep, and they eat a frog, and it is unreal. And it's like, do I go do that and go get paid, or do I go try to catch smallmouth live scoping? And it's like, you drove all the way up there to go smallmouth fishing, you know, but you're you don't really get to fish many tournaments like that, you know, anymore. Yeah. So it's gonna be a tough one. It's gonna be a decision.
Would you consider the shallow bite your strength?
Yeah, for sure.
So you can either fish your strength and know that you're probably gonna, because generally with the NPFL, 40, 43rd, in the 40s, cuts a check.
Yep.
Pretty much. That's about that. So you figure that's my strength. I probably can cut a check, but I could go out there, and if I had those mega bags of smallmouth, or if I end up catching just the 3-pounders that don't do you any good, you got to when you go smallmouth fishing up there, you got to get into the 5s and 6s.
That's right. It's with 22 pounds a day lake for sure.
Wow.
And that's if we hit it right, you know, we have no off limits, and this is the biggest field they've ever had. So like that potential to catch a giant bag is there this year. Like, it could take more, and we're also going later than they've ever been.
Yeah.
And when they were there in the past, they were like kind of on that post spawn kind of deal. Like, definitely spawned out, but like they were kind of scattered a little bit
right afterwards. Yeah.
Late in the summer, smallmouth fishing, usually they're like grouped up, schools, and then like my favorite way to smallmouth fish is up there shallow. Like, it's my like, that's how I feel comfortable smallmouth fishing. Like, if I can catch them shallow, we'll be good. But because that is one of the sickest things ever.
What is shallow?
Like, dirt shallow with your eyeballs, hood on, have a black marabou jig fly, and you're just looking for them like they're bonefish. And like,
really,
yeah, and you throw them out there and just straight wind it back. That and a spy bait. That's the funnest way to catch a smallmouth, in my opinion. But might be more of the big water stuff, and, you know, up there real deep.
Just depends on where the big ones are.
Yeah,
too.
for sure. That's the bigger ones tend to be shallower on most of the Great Lakes. Not saying that you can't catch 6-7 pounders out deep.
But are they where the largemouth are?
You can catch them mixed in at Saginaw. That's the unique thing. At Saginaw is a little bit different because you have so many largemouth, and then the past couple of years the water's been a lot lower than what it typically had been. So rather than being up in the weed, you know, there's tons of them that deep, but, you know, rather than them being like miles back in that stuff, they can only use certain areas that have a little bit deeper depth. So something like maybe like a rock vein that might jet out a little bit closer to the weeds and stuff, you might have a little run in with both of them. So it's a unique place. Like, you saw Kevin Van Dam last year catch them chatterbaiting, smallmouth and largemouth. You know, it's pretty cool. Like, you can power fish smallmouth there. Like, same thing if like it gets windy and you can't see them throwing that hair jig, you can go up there and burn a spinnerbait. Like I'm talking about Ontario, just because that's where I have the most Champlain's where I have the most experience smallmouth fishing.
Right.
Because when I went there in college to Saginaw, I didn't really know what I was doing smallmouth wise, but this largemouth fishing was really fun.
I
So
bet that's a tough decision. Let's go
Yeah.
ahead. Michael, before I get to your question, because that's one that we're liable to talk about for a hot minute. Let's go ahead and do our question of the night, Kevin's unanswerable question of the night. And
No, it's answerable.
It's answerable. And so, Tim, you have the answer?
I do.
You do. So you two will be watching, so he and I can continue our conversation. Now, this is for this Berkeley, these Berkeley baits. I've got some of the power swimmers. I've got lizards. I've got some finesse worms. I've got some chunks. And possibly, if he can rig it, we might be able to add a big bites.
Yeah, we'll make something.
We'll make something work out.
Yeah.
So, Robert Blesky, I love me some Saginaw. I bet you do.
Yeah, he was killing me because I was boatless for a little bit, and I was seeing his Facebook posts and Instagram stuff, and it just kills me. He was sitting on the couch looking at all these guys pre-practicing.
Yeah, I bet you get gritting your teeth.
But
that he does. When he is around here though, he talks about that.
He's a Florida boy too, isn't he? Like
he's a flatlander for sure.
Yeah,
Flatlander
so he'll figure out a largemouth stuff.
Okay, so this has one answer.
Just
so you
one
guys,
answer.
one answer. All right, he's going to read the question 2 times, and then you 2 guys will watch it, and then we're going to answer Michael Temple's question. You good? You got to go to the bathroom or anything?
I'll go to the bathroom.
It's perfect time right here. So there you go. All right, so go ahead. It's all yours, Kevin.
Okay. This advice was for anglers who didn't make that year's Bassmaster Classic. Who said, start fishing like you're the third monkey trying to get on Noah's Ark and it's starting to rain. I'll read it again. This advice was for those anglers who didn't make that year's Bassmaster Classic. Who said, start fishing like you're the third monkey trying to get on Noah's Ark and it's starting to rain.
Okay, so this is a direct quote from someone, correct?
Yes.
And we'll give you guys about 10 or 15 minutes. Now, Jimmy Houston, no. Christopher Brown, good guess, but no. So did you type that in there, Tim?
I did.
You were typing the question?
Well, I typed kind of the first so they get the hint.
Now, let's just say some of you guys are getting close, but you got to think outside the box. Think outside the box on this.
What was the question?
Is that good? I mean, can I say
write the answer down for him?
I said think outside the box.
No, let him figure it out.
He is an ornery old man when it comes to this question.
So far, nobody has it.
What's the question?
Okay, so
You want me to read it again?
read it one more time.
This advice was for those anglers that didn't make that year's Bassmaster Classic. Who said, start fishing like you're the third monkey trying to get on Noah's Ark and it's starting to rain.
So buckle down, boys. Buckle down.
Nope.
Now,
Nobody's got it.
and all I said was think outside the box. Think outside the box. So you guys keep trying.
You're going to go to the bathroom next time I read an answer
Huh?
question.
Well, listen, we're going to have to help him out with this tonight. I know.
I already gave him a clue.
The hell you did?
I certainly did.
What was the clue?
That.
What do you mean that?
This advice was for those anglers who didn't make that year's Bassmaster Classic.
Tim, can I get a ruling from you?
I didn't say
Tim,
this year's
put the camera on you, Tim. Tim.
Hold on. I had to push a few buttons. Yes, sir.
Okay. Is the word that a great clue with this?
Not for me, but I'm not the sharpest pickle in the barrel sometimes.
Okay. So anyway, you guys keep working on that. You guys watch in the comment section. All I'm telling you is think outside the box. And he's going to get mad at me. Casey Blanton, I'm behind. How did we do Monday, Danny and Kevin? We got our ass kicked. That's the only way to describe it. And I'm just going to say some of you guys are closer than you know. Anyway, Ronald Reagan.
There we go. Telling the answers.
Did I tell him the answer?
No, but you telling them. You're giving them clues.
Do you know who it is?
Mm-mm. I'll think.
It's not anybody you said so far.
But it's damn close.
Hey, does he currently still fish the Elite Series?
Think outside the box.
No.
We're getting too many hints now, huh? We had a question from Michael Temples we were supposed to.
Okay, let's get on that. You guys.
Let me reel everybody back in.
Okay, so you guys keep thinking about that, and I'm gonna try to help you guys out as best I can. But let's go with this. How does he like using live scope in perspective versus forward mode? Which one do you like it better? And do you use your Garmin guy, Lawrence?
Yeah, I'm a Garmin guy.
You're a Garmin guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so perspective versus
forward. I use them both. Got them both on there all the time.
Yeah.
Use them in sync. When I fish shallower, use perspective a lot more. Perspective is like
Tim Hancock.
Holy smokes.
Tim Hancock.
You ought to known that the two oldest guys,
Yep.
the two oldest guys would get it. The answer is Lulu.
Yep.
Leanne Swindle said it. I'll be damned. I did not think any, because this is, guys, I was trying to tell you.
I said, you sleep out.
Sleep. Listen,
Yeah.
I'm trying to help because everybody's thinking.
Jerking.
You're still jerking. Good job. Good lob. Yeah. So anyway, Tim, I'm going to send you some baits, buddy. I appreciate you doing that. And you guys that were putting Swindle, I was trying to throw that hint out there.
You can't give Tim any baits. They're too new.
They're too new. Yeah, he don't fish with nothing that was
We'll find
done
some old baits.
We will. We'll find some old baits that, we'll do that. You got any old baits sitting laying around? Like, now when I say old, let me clarify this. Tim Hancock still got original plastics from back in like the 50s.
That he fishes with.
50s.
I might
50s.
be.
I got some like wiggle warts, and I got like.
I can look at that. I can Google with the best of them. Hey, listen, there you go. I'm proud of you, Tim. Shows that you old dogs can learn.
Yep.
See, and if old guys can learn how to use Google and AI and all that, then these old anglers can learn how to use live scope.
It's facts. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, for sure.
I
like the answer right above that.
Jerry Clower. That's a good answer.
Well, John Boltez.
Found it on Google, but wasn't going to comment. Why didn't you comment? You should have. You could have won, because hell, Tim ain't gonna fish with these things. I mean, if we're being honest,
that's the truth.
Have you watched
Under the bus he goes.
No, is he just big time old, like likes old baits and stuff?
Well, he's old.
You
Number
go
one.
fishing?
Hang on to those
Sure.
baits,
There's
Danny.
no
I
room
may
in his
ride
boat.
up and get them.
No room.
No, there's no room in Tim's boat, is there?
No, Tim got more bait. I don't think the man's
He's got
ever
as
thrown
many
away a bait.
cameras as we got.
But Tim is, how do we want to say? He's old, but he's also
72.
72.
Okay.
He's your, yeah.
My age.
Y'all two are some of my favorite old guys. But he loves the baits made back in the 80s, the baits that always work for him, that still produce. He still and he hangs on to them.
80s baits.
Oh, 80. I mean,
Early 2000s at all, or no?
he may have a few of those for sure.
Ask him what he knows what that is.
So
Here, hold on.
let's pull. I guarantee he does.
Yeah.
Well, Tim Hancock, this is for you. Give me that up close. Name that bait.
Is that a Bagley?
Nope.
Name that bait. I got to go to the hell yeah. There we
He'll
go.
know it.
I'm sure he
That
will.
looks a
I
lot like a
cannot
Bagley
get
or
that.
Norman.
Keep it right up there where the wire go. There you go, right there.
Is
You're
that
dead
good?
center.
Name that bait, Tim Hancock. And here's the front view. We'll give you full frontal.
Yeah, if you can see that signature on the bill, he'll get it.
I'm trying.
Not a Rebel, is it?
Mm-mm.
Good Lord, I am terrible at this. Looks like a Bagley's. Michael Temple said Rebel. Two guys said Rebel. Tim said looks like a Bagley's. Now I can't read the.
That is a handmade one by Ed Chambers at Zoom.
Ooh,
So as
really?
Yep.
That was a good trick question.
Yeah.
A handmade bait. Dadgummit, I am terrible with this. I got to learn how to do this. I'm
Yep, Ed, right there.
Go a little to your left.
There
Stop.
we go.
Right there. You're dead
A
center.
handmade bait by who again?
By Ed Chambers.
Ed Chambers from Zoom.
Zoom. He's passed on now, and
Yeah,
that bait
he
is
passed
about
on.
it's about a $100 or $200 bill right there
That's,
with that bait. I got it in a yard sale for $5. But
And you knew what you was looking at though.
I was in high school. I was like, "Is that a Zoom?" Because they were like big, and then it was before he died. And then we made a Shimano bait, kind of similar.
That's got
similar-
that flash
similar
thing.
profile, but we got the flash piece and everything. And then we got something called Hybrid Edge Bill Design. Sorry to steal the shot. I don't know.
No, go
product
ahead.
but
No, absolutely.
but yeah, basically, instead of
we'll get to your
paying
question, Michael.
all this money for a
me see
handmade
that.
bait, that Hybrid Edge lip design every time out of the package.
All right, Tim, I'm gonna try to do this right there, buddy. Go this way.
There you go. Right
and
there.
Hold it right there. Kind of turn a little bit so you get that little flash design right there. And this is a what now?
That's a World Crank. So, not World Crank. What's it called? World Rush. Excuse
World
me.
Rush.
Yeah, I'm gonna get fired.
Yeah,
We have
that's
another
okay.
bait called the World Crank.
World Crank.
Yeah, so that's World Rush. So basically, we have hybrid edge lip design. What that does is it allows every single one they're made, not made by hand, so they're more consistent out of the package,
Right.
And so they hunt rather than when you buy an old bait, if it doesn't, it's all hand tuned, everything like that, but not all of them run right, and not all of them catch fish.
Like
so.
Strike King's Hybrid Hunter.
What's up,
Similar,
Dave?
yeah.
Dave's watching tonight, so there you go. I didn't notice Dave's name right there at the bottom. Okay, so let's get back. And anytime you want to pop in with your baits or anything like that, feel free, because that's why you're here. But let's get to that question. How does he like using the live scope and perspective versus forward? You said you have both. You use both.
Use both. Perspective for me is basically like having 360, like Hummer 360, but it's live time. And I like to move down the bank quick. And so with a 360, you have to wait for it to load, even at the highest pace. If you're going down 10 on the bank and there's a stump out here with one fish and it's weighing time, you need one more keeper. You don't see that one stump right there with a fish on it, then you're going to just go past it and keep burning down the bank.
Yeah.
And so like at Logan Martin this year in that NPFL event, I was catching them in shallow backwaters. They were getting ready. It was still in January. It was January tournament, but Coosa River fish get so shallow, especially when it gets even when it gets cold. They were pre-spawn. They were eating bait in these backwaters, and it was a really just clay backwater. It had some grass in the during the normal times of year, but they were really keyed in on these rock veins, and so I was able to see that on perspective mode, and I was fishing offshore, but I was in 2 foot of water square billing. And so bumping that square bill on whether stump or log, they were heating up, especially late in the day. Those fish would suspend by the only cover that was in that pocket while they were chasing bait and stuff. Thread fins in there. A little bit slightly warmer water in those places, but I use it. I caught a 7-pounder on Lanier earlier this year with perspective mode. I've got some cool perspective mode videos on Instagram and stuff. I'll probably post some later next year.
Why don't you go ahead while you just mentioned that, shout out your socials.
Yeah, so it's JMadd_fishing. It's JMADD_fishing. That should be for everything. And I think that's on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, everything like that.
Okay.
So.
All right. Yeah, we'll make sure.
YouTube
and all that. Yep. Okay. So yeah, check that out. So that's pretty cool. Now, have we got any other ones coming? Any other questions? That's Tim Hancock said he's old and he's notoriously cheap.
Yeah.
I've never given more than $30 for a lure in my life. And that's not an insult.
No, and $30 is a lot for a lure. $30 is a lot for a lure.
And I'm
sure.
not, I tease him.
Yeah.
But that's not an insult. I mean, but he likes what he likes.
And I feel a lot better breaking off a $14 lure than I do a $200 lure.
100%.
And then we make this very similar bait without the flash boost technology, and it's $10. And we obviously you never want to lose baits. And you see you got the lure retriever right there.
Yeah.
But if you're in a tournament and you just need to keep going, sometimes you break them off, come back and go get them, especially the local stuff where you live around them,
Yeah.
So.
That makes sense. So, anybody need any Bayou Boogies? Found like 20 at my grandparents' place.
Oh, those are old school.
Bayou Boogies.
Yeah.
What is that?
What is it, Tim? What is a Bayou Boogie? He's got to find a button.
What's the Bayou Boogie? He'll know.
No, I'm talking to our Tim McGuire.
Oh, you're talking to me.
I'm talking to you.
Anytime Mr. Hancock's around, I don't know which one of us you're talking to.
That's right. Well, I'm talking to you there. You said that's old school. What is a Bayou Boogie?
Bayou Boogie, man. That is a little plug that has been around since what, the 80s?
It's been a hot minute. So it's a crankbait.
Yeah. It has been around a long
time. Tony Collins says you're already friends on TikTok.
Nice.
So there you go.
Sweet.
I follow Tony on TikTok, or we at Fish North Georgia follow Tony.
Right on.
So there you go. Farmer get to work. Power's out in LJ. There was a question though. So Michael Temples has another one. Yeah, he always has good questions.
Yeah.
Pull that up. Do you have both mounted on the trolling motor shaft? How do you spot lock to stay on them?
So yeah, I have them both on the trolling motor shaft, and I really don't use live spot lock. Just it's not. It was cool when it was invented to keep on a spot, but I really don't use it that much.
Yeah.
Just because of how powerful live scope is. And I'm always constantly moving usually. So I'm not really
power poles either.
I've got power poles. Yeah, I got power poles.
But if you're locking your power poles, you're fishing some shallow.
Yeah, and I use my power poles a lot. Like I've got the 10 footers, so that's what I use. And I'm just constantly moving. So
okay.
back in the day, like ledge fishing in Gunnersville, like that was, you had to have live or have spot lock. But like now I just move so much. I don't really ever use it unless I'm retying. And, I like the smart trolling motors. I got the Garmin one. I use a lot of the other features, and I'll use spot lock certain times, especially if it's like really rough and I know kind of the direction, but I just like being able to see them, to be honest with you.
Hey,
So
I got you. Now, John, do you know John?
I don't.
On the
know.
bottom? Okay. So I always like to ask that because he's chimed in that. Now, John, if I mispronounce your last name, forgive me. Is it Voltaeus? Yeah, just give me a yes or no. Every time I cast Chimera, I cringe a little bit expecting a line snap. Me too, buddy. That's why I do not throw expensive baits. You saw me. How many times I get hooked up the other night? I didn't snap the line, but I was throwing
5 or 6 times that you broke off.
But I was throwing
in a 4 hour.
I was throwing a weightless wacky, and I was throwing it in the trash.
Yeah,
he does.
I mean, I'll put it right there in the trash. You throw a weightless wacky in it?
He found the trees too.
Huh?
He found the trees too.
Absolutely. But Casey Blanton said they had 7 pounds the other night. So Alatoona was tough, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, 5 fish. We'd had 7 pounds.
We had 3 fish, which we had our opportunities.
Yeah, we did.
3 fish for 4.33 pounds. So had we got those other ones, we'd have had a respectable finish.
Had 6, 7 pounds
for sure.
I'd like to know, Casey, could you tell us what won that tournament if you're still on? Because I know Barday had 9 pounds. Stephen, do you know Stephen Barday?
I don't.
He's an excellent fisher. I still want to kick your ass, Barday. That's my goal. I just want to beat Barday in a tournament.
Yeah.
Time. I don't care if I win it. He had 14.87 the next night fishing the same stuff.
Yeah.
Who did? Casey?
Casey did. So should have thrown my wacky worm. Yes, Dave, I should have. And also, too, you guys, Michael Temples has a Garmin Echo Map 12-inch for sale for anyone interested because he bought him a big screen TV.
Nice.
To put on there. So
big screen.
9 pounds got you in the money, and everyone struggled. So good. It wasn't your partner. It was the damn fish.
I didn't say it was my partner.
Did he not say it was his
I
partner?
heard that earlier.
I didn't say it was.
The heck partner. You didn't.
No, I said he didn't help out enough.
But he was good on the net, though.
He was great with that. I never had to say a word.
We had a snake in the boat.
Really?
We had a snake get in the boat the other day. And who the hell knows how long it was in there?
Yeah, no telling.
No, and it was right. If I'd have sat down, it was right there. Like, I mean, right
Unreal.
there. And I looked at Kevin, and I was looking at it. And I'm like, that don't look right.
And neither one of us had a light.
We didn't have a light. It was pitch black. We had moonlight.
Yeah.
And I was kind of looking.
See the outline of it.
I was kind of like,
slowly, fella.
Well, it wasn't moving. I said, where'd that rope come from?
Yeah.
And then I pulled my phone out, and all of a sudden I flashed it. And that little booger's looking right at me. I go, Kevin, you got a snake on your boat?
Yeah.
That black light doesn't shine.
No, it don't. But I was trying to get my rod to flip him off, and Kevin got him off like that. You ever had anything like that?
I've had some cottonmouths try to get in the boat up the river like Eufaula, but no.
No,
never had them in the boat where I didn't know. I've had them try to like where you're idling, especially it always happens at Eufaula. It's just Jurassic Park down there.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's Reptile Kingdom.
Yeah, for sure. So I've had them like idling, in the middle of the lake, or had my fair share of run-ins with gators and stuff. But
man, I stepped away for a minute. Bayou Boogie is a lipless crankbait.
Lipless crankbait, cool.
Yeah, there you go. So,
cool name.
You got to keep these old guys. Listen, this is something. You're a young guy.
Yeah.
You're what, 24?
24.
You got to make friends with these old guys though, because they can always help you in a trivia tournament. You know, you might get at a bar one night, fishing trivia and all that, and they know some good stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so we got a few other things. I want to make sure we get what you want to show in.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that riser bait.
Yeah.
Because a riser bait is a pretty hot thing right now. Everybody's talking about risers. I haven't thrown it enough to give you a good thing, but I know the one time that I tried to throw it with my cousin, I was like, what in the hell am I doing? I mean, what's the proper way to work a riser bait?
Straight reel it in.
Just straight reel.
Really,
that's it.
Simple bait. Yep. It's designed to be fished right on the surface. It's really great for schooling fish.
Yeah. Is there anything else you can do with it, or is that it?
There's some couple little things you can sink it to them and reel it past them, and that they don't really like that on linear. They eat it pretty good. But yeah, we've had a riser out, and then you've seen some knockoffs come around and they're here and there. But
there are some knockoffs out there.
They're not a riser, a true riser.
That chrome's hard to find.
And that chrome's hard to find. That's a brand new color that we just come out with because I saw that one of the local guys was making a knockoff version. I took a picture of it and sent it directly to the manager at Jackall, and we came out with a chrome one. So we got one for the herring guys, and it's going to be one that really plays.
Let me ask you about that. Let's talk about that knockoff bait for a second.
Yeah.
As a rep for a company,
Mm-hmm.
when you see that,
Mm-hmm.
what goes through your mind?
We don't have a chrome version at the time,
Mm-hmm.
so I understand like the necessity to try to get it.
Right.
But at the same time, when I don't know if you're all advertising as a knockoff or not, but when it's selling for more than what the original one is cost, it's not all that great,
Yeah.
And part of my job is seeing what the competitors are doing, who's knocking us off. But I've thrown them side by side, and I can say ours is a lot better. So.
Well, how about this? Is there any ramifications as being from a company when you see someone and you see them advertise? Because is the word riser, is that patented by Jackall or like?
I don't know that, but I think so. Yeah.
And you see somebody advertising a riser.
Yeah.
Do you? I mean, I'm asking you straight up. Do you go straight ahead and report that to the company?
I did. Yep.
And what is the steps that the company would do?
I don't know what exactly the company do. I know they want more information, who it is, everything like that. But that's my job, is to report that kind of stuff.
Legal department.
Yeah,
legal
department.
I'm being very serious because
I give them the information that they need, they ask for. But there's so much originality that can be made, especially with the forward face and stuff. And like, we live in a part of the country where it's not like everything else, so we can make baits that are for these fisheries.
Yes.
So I would encourage any lure maker to be original and quit copying stuff, for sure.
I get it.
Yeah.
Now, if they say riser KO, where they do say knockoff,
I'm not sure.
Make a difference, or do you still report it?
I'll definitely still report and just kind of show like, hey, this is kind of going on our market, and there's guys that are buying the knockoff because it's chrome. Right. If it ain't chrome, leave it at home at these herring lakes.
If riser's patented, I don't think they could use the name.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure, so don't quote me on that. But that is my job, is to report. And like, if a certain company comes out with, hey, this is a bait that's killing it, like it's great for these lakes, I'm gonna let Shimano or Jackall know, hey, might be something that might be in interest to make. And I'm working with Big Bite this year, is actually making helping design a little bit of stuff here and there.
Yeah.
I'll probably get that opportunity this next year. And I'll say, hey, like, I love this bait and this bait. Is there a way we can combine it and have like a best of both worlds kind of situation? Like, same way I was listening to a podcast earlier today about Justin Lucas talking about the flatworm. They took a Jackall crosstail shad and a Yamamoto, the shad shaped wormed, and combined the two, made something that's completely different from both of those things. But it's a kind of a combination. It's not a knockoff of either one, but it takes bits here and there, and that's how you make good baits.
Yeah.
And then you have originality as far as the max scent, the texture, and everything like that. So, like, I'm not saying anything bad about the Berkeley stuff at all. I'm just saying,
but they didn't take the exact
thing and just make their own version of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I like working with Jackall and Shimano because they're really innovative. They make a lot of the best stuff on the market.
Just feel like all the different Senkos that are out there.
Yep, for sure.
John says the real slimy thing is the ones importing the knockoffs for $2 to $3 and then selling them for $20. Been seeing it in local tackle shops a lot.
Yeah, for sure. And they're actually more than our original riser.
Yeah.
They're selling for more than the knockoff. And I've thrown them side by side, and they don't rock as hard. They don't stay up. They're just not. And when I'm trying to say how to say this the right way,
say it how you want to say it.
When they're so picky on a place like Lanier, and you have one like kick sideways, you're talking about that underspin where like when you burn it, it like rolls sideways and they get shy off it. You never like throw one on a live scope where they're all falling and then they have some negative interaction, they swim back down real quick.
Yes, that
will happen with that other bait, and you want a consistent bait that constantly moves past them. So yeah, that's the opposite of square bill fishing, which is weird because you want to make it stop and go and do all types of weird stuff. But for herring, when it's so like darty and just wants to get away, you want to make sure like you're just constantly just moving it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
breaking it pretty good too.
Need the sun up for that shallow spy bait bite.
Yeah. So I'm throwing it on a 7.6 spinning rod, and it's a medium light.
Yeah.
The one I throw is Shimano. Our pro staff is we do like each pro uses a certain model rod and reel kind of thing.
Mhm.
So I use a lot of X Pride stuff, but I do get away with using a G Loomis because we do G Loomis also.
Mhm.
I use the NRX it's a 902, so it's a 7.6 medium spinning rod. I can launch that thing. It's by far the best spy bait rod. Keeps them pinned. You know, spy bait notoriously you lose a lot of fish,
Notoriously.
and it works really good out here on Lanier too. Maybe not so much the shallow spy bait bite, but you know, using it over piles and stuff like that, especially fishing a little bit quicker.
I got you.
What's your take on the bigger spy bait that's come out?
So I've been playing with them a little bit. I haven't figured out which one are you referring to? Just the Duo Realis one, or is it? Yeah, I've used it, caught some fish on it, but I always go back to that spy bait 80. They're just the 80 size that's made to throw on a spinning rod. That's the one I use for shallow stuff. I use the 80 size made for bait caster if I want to fish it deeper. I still throw it on a spinning rod though.
I got you. Got a question with Farmer from Farmer here. Can you beef up the hooks on the Jackall riser without impacting the action because the hooks that come on it are light wire?
Yeah. So I was talking to Jesse Wiggins about this. He will just get a new riser out of because he's sponsored by Jackall. He'll just grab a new riser when the hooks bend out. Because if you do change the hooks out a little bit, they'll be a little bit weird. Sometimes they'll throw the riser, and sometimes they'll just nip the back hook and everything. And you can use a little bit bigger gauge, but you're going to have to shrink the size hook to match that. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I kind of go the opposite way. At Lake Hartwell during our NPFL event, I was throwing this hook right here.
And what is that?
This is a Ryugi dagger. So that's a size 8. And that is
See if I got it right, Tim.
And that is an extremely light wire hook. Like, you know, the Mega Bass hooks?
Yeah.
Lighter wire than that. But what happens is it sticks them every time. And with the right rod, I'm not bending those hooks out. With the right reel, the right rod.
So you rely more on the setup than the change.
Yeah, exactly. And you can go to like a mono leader where it's a little bit more shock if you don't have that 7.6 moderate, medium power rod. If you don't have that rod and you want to just play with the spot on your normal spinning rod, go to a mono leader, a little bit more stretch. You won't bend them out nearly as bad. But I'll be honest with you, I don't bend them out that bad with actually fighting the fish. It's getting the pliers because they get it so good. And that's a lot longer shank.
Now that I've noticed. I've done that a lot more.
That's a lot longer shank. And like during our NPFL at Hartwell, I was changing hooks 3 times a day. But that was just because, I'm not wanting to, even if it was bend out just a little bit, I wouldn't just bend it back. I would change them out.
Them out and everything.
But I think for just like tournament fishing, that's the one to use. If you're just out there fun fishing and stuff, you can get away with, just a little shorter, smaller size, bigger gauge. But I like just having that lighter wire where it's that long shank. So even if they come up behind it and just kiss it, he's coming in the boat. So
okay, that makes sense. While we're talking hooks, you got a couple other hooks that
for sure.
Let's go ahead and knock out your hook section.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sponsored by Ryugi. Use a lot of their stuff. We got a bunch of different stuff. Brought these to kind of just show my fall fishing. Some of my baits, a lot of these are hard baits, moving baits. But I have 2 soft baits right here. I also have a jig. This is a fighting frog. This is the 3-inch version. That's one of Big Bite's most famous baits.
Big Bite, yeah. And
this is my favorite color. I literally have a Ziploc bag basically just full of this color, and I keep that in black and blue in my boat. I keep it real simple. And that one's called Vegas Flash.
Okay, so let me hold it from the top. Vegas Flash.
Yep.
And so John says those hooks are amazing. The only ones I use at this point.
Yep.
So what makes these hooks better? I mean, I know you said you're sponsored by them, so I don't.
Yeah, they're just super sharp, and Ryugi takes really a lot of pride in making their hooks, and they want to make sure it's perfect before even like we're testing hooks now, but they're making sure that it's perfect before it even gets in our hands, and then we give out back American feedback. Because the American market's different from the Japanese market. We kind of give them like, hey, we need a shaky head. We need this. They want to make sure it's the perfect angle, the perfect barb length, perfect length between the point and the actual barb itself, how big the barb is, how big the bend is. And each hook is like specific to a bait. So like there's like 4 different just worm hooks, 5 different treble hooks. We have a brutal, which is like a bigger gauge, dagger, which is going to be our lighter gauge. Pierce is our normal gauge hook.
Right.
So I keep it pretty like even as far as like there's a pierce, there's a brutal, pretty much in every single hook they make. And then the daggers are the light wire treble hooks. So once you kind of like start using their hooks and using their different ones, it's like easy to go from like a, that Pierce is just gonna be like a normal gauge, or
Right.
a dagger is gonna be a light wire, and
Right.
then the brutal is gonna be that like gaff, like yeah.
a Florida. Like if you're in Florida,
Yeah.
would you use that in a little?
The gaff one,
a
yeah,
thick one,
yeah.
a
We
thick
got
weight?
one that is like, I should have brought him. I didn't bring him, but it's called a tantrum control. And quick story, how I got hooked up with Ryugi was through Kenta Kimura. I was at the Red River, had the best practice I ever had for a tournament. Thought I was gonna win the tournament. Had 18 punching bites first day of the tournament. I only landed 4 of them. I said, "What is going on?" I felt I was like a pretty good puncher. I didn't know what was going on. He ended up giving me a weight and a hook, and I don't have them here, but it's called the Ryugi Black Bean, and it looks nothing like a normal weight. It's it looks like a bean that you get from Moe's, like Southwest, like a black bean. And the Ryugi Tantrum Control, it's in between a straight shank hook and a circle hook, and so every time those fish bite it, it's straight to the cranium, like they are hooked and they are gaffed and they're coming in the boat. But with that lighter or that weird shaped weight, I was flipping mats with 1.25 ounces, and I was able to get through those same hyacinth mats with a 5/8, just because of the difference of the weight distribution on the actual sinker itself. And Kenda gave me a couple of them, and the next day went and caught everything that bit, and it was like all through the head, like.
And you call that the tandem or
tantrum control?
Tantrum control.
Yeah. So the names are a little bit weird, but yeah, you can get them on Tackle Warehouse right now, and you'll start seeing a lot more of them here.
And that's more for your punching.
Yeah, it's a punching hook for sure. That one's That's how I got kind of hooked up with Ryugi and like started like, oh well, let me see what else they have, because it's like a unique thing, and I want to like try different stuff. This is a double edge. This is one I use for a fluke when I want to keep it towards the surface.
Right.
Just because it's a lighter wire hook, and it pierces, like if they just grab it, like, like swat at it,
super sharp.
It's a thinner wire, and it goes through the plastic a lot easier than like a Infinity or something like that. So
who owns Gamakatsu hooks? Do you know?
No idea. I guess Gamakatsu. I don't know.
Spro.
Or I guess Spro distributes for them. I know.
Spro, I thought so. So
they might own them.
Either Gamakatsu owns Spro or Spro owns Gamakatsu.
Yeah, I know there's a relationship there.
There's a relationship with that somehow. I know that if you got a Spro dealer, you're going to be able to buy Gamakatsu.
Yeah, for sure.
What is this now?
So these are just heavy deltas. So they're like your drop shot weights. But what I was going to say is one of my favorite.
Are they tungsten?
They are
tungsten. Okay.
One of my favorite techniques this time of year is a free rig. Are you familiar with the free rig at all?
Well, why don't you explain it for those? I'm going to act like I do, but explain it for those that don't.
Yeah. So the free rig, have you ever been fishing a Texas rig and you used a peg Texas rig, and then your buddy is throwing an unpegged Texas rig?
Yes.
And the unpegged Texas rig guy ends up catching a little bit more?
Yeah.
Basically what it is you're using a drop shot weight with an open eye. It's not like one that you clip on, and it's free swinging. And so basically it looks like, say my fighting frog is up here. This is attached to my line, and it's just free swinging. It's almost like in between a Texas rig and a Carolina rig.
So your line can go freely through.
Yep.
You just put it through the eye.
Yep, through the eye. And it looks goofy, but when you flip it around, the weight will go down, and then the bait will go super fast, and then it will like slowly drift, almost like it was weightless, like your worm,
right.
Like your weightless worm. I'm able to put that weightless bait into like heavy cover and get it out. So it excels in grass, like milfoil, because I'm able to hide the bait and then pop it out, and then all of a sudden it comes free and just slowly comes back down.
So your weight's actually, even though you got a lot of line out, so your weight's actually pulling the line down, but it's sliding a little bit towards the angler.
Yep.
And then once it hits, then the rest of the line,
it just kind of acts natural.
Yep. Like you would on the back of a Carolina. And then as you pull up for the next top, it goes back to the worm.
Exactly.
You pull your worm up to it, pull it up.
Yeah.
And then repeat.
Yeah. And I don't know what it is about like that summer to fall transition, but it excels, especially like fishing docks, anything like that, lay downs, that kind of stuff like that. Not super heavy cover stuff, but still want a Texas rig presentation. And Texas rig fishing in the bank is really overlooked, especially on all these lakes. Like everybody's live scoping and stuff. And there's a huge population of fish that move shallow this time of year and get dirt shallow. They eat brim, they eat crawfish on every full moon,
right?
Bluegills on every full moon, and that's something that a lot of guys will overlook, especially on Lake Lanier and any of these lakes around here.
That is true.
I got a question.
Yeah, throw that question up there, Tim.
In reference to the free rig, have you noticed a big difference between using like Plastisol and Elastex?
As far as the fall,
As far as the fall, yeah, flotation.
Yeah, like Z-Man makes a lot of like Elastic stuff.
Mhm.
I've played with it a little bit, and for that reason, to almost like float it, almost like a drop shot. I use a lot of the big bite stuff. We don't have an Elastic version.
I don't really like the Elastic. Do you really like it?
The hook penetration with it is the only issue with it.
Yeah.
Like I like having like certain baits, like a So I will notice this, like Z-Man makes a bait called I forgot what it's called, but it's almost like a menace. It's almost like a menace. Yeah. So you're able to float your jig, like swimming a jig. You're able to float it with a heavier weight, cast it further, but stay up higher in the water column, bigger bulk and everything.
Right.
With that Elastic, but it's not something I like keep them on hand all the time. You know,
Yeah.
I was big on it at one point,
Right.
for floating it through grass. You know, fishing a lot slower just because how like it doesn't sink when you stop it.
Right.
Or as it sinks a lot slower. I could see it being like if you want a really slow sink rate, like in the wintertime, I could see where that would be in play. But I don't really have a place for it in my fishing right now. But it might be something we go look into.
Right.
But Big Bite doesn't offer that, and I use a lot of just the Big Bite plastics.
Yeah. I like. I say a sneaky trick with the Z-Man stuff is it will float back up if you give it slack.
Yeah, and
on the free rig.
that'd be something to check out for sure. That's a really smart idea for sure.
So as it falls, give it a little slack.
Yeah,
and
for
let it
sure.
kinda-
He'll probably do it on his own almost. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
hadn't thought about that. So, the free rig you're talking about, that's a really big thing going into this fall transition.
Yeah,
that
for
guys
sure.
Can do.
Yeah.
But that's something you can throw up in a foot of water and then work it all the
Yeah,
way
yeah.
back.
I'll have it tied on for Saginaw Bay too, because it's just a really good bait just to cast out there, and it's almost like presenting a weightless presentation out there deep.
So I'm just picturing it in my mind because I've never thrown it before. If I like we were the other night, we fished shallow pretty much all night.
Yeah,
So let's say I throw this free rig up by the bank, 2-3 foot of water, and so for the first few pulls, it's going to act more like a traditional Texas rig because the weight's right on it. But as it gets deeper, that's when you're going to start getting that slower fall behind it.
For sure. And like you can fish it a little bit more aggressively than a Texas rig. So like,
okay,
I like to burn it on the bank real quick, and so I can fish it, I can hop it more aggressively, and it almost looks like it's like chasing something. In Japan they call it escape mode, and so that's kind of like you're almost getting that weight to escape from your bait, and they'll come up in there and eat it.
And so John says, I get a ton of bites on the fall.
Yep.
So he's talking about on the fall of that. That's pretty interesting. I don't think we've had that conversation, have we, Kevin?
No.
About so that's another technique. So the free rig.
Yeah, especially like milfoil grass. Like there's obviously this North Georgia, we don't have a ton of grass, but
True.
like Watts Bar in the open 2 years ago, I relied heavily on a free rig, hiding it in the grass, popping it out, and then having that natural presentation.
What about a lot of our lakes have rocks?
Yeah,
So
and that's a great way to hide it in rocks. And then with that sinker, that being tungsten, it'll actually hit on that rock and make a noise, almost like clicking like crayfish, crawfish. So yeah, it's something different, and it's not a jig profile. It's doesn't act like a wobble head. It doesn't act like a regular Texas rig. It's just something different, but fits that same category. So when you start getting on a Texas rig or jig bite, it's something that you can integrate or have, your partner throw or whatever. But it's been something I've been really like, just, it gets a lot of bites. I'll say that, and I thought it was goofy having a weight just hanging out right there, but like in the water, if you throw it in the pool, it looks incredible. So
now, is that something, because this is going to be kind of our subject of the night, because I had never talked about this. The baits on the back of this. Okay. Because the baits you've got right here, are these the kind that you were throwing?
Yeah, that's one of them I throw.
The smaller bait that we got, I had out earlier.
More slender profile. That's called the quarantine crawl.
Okay. Yeah. So that something like, say, a fluke stick or something.
Yeah.
Could you throw it on
Yeah,
the back
absolutely. The options are kind of endless with that one.
Yeah. Because that was where I was going to go. Can you throw a Cinco on the back of it?
Yeah, absolutely. I threw at Watts Bar a couple of years ago. I was throwing the 8-inch skinny trick worm, or not trick worm, the big bite version. Yeah. So throwing it, and then I throw like there's a depths bait called a bull flat. I throw a lot on it. It's a really good bait this time of year too, around like the full moon, whenever they're on the, they're still on brim. Everybody forgets, there's brim beds and that kind of stuff, and it's a really good alternative to throwing like a wacky rig or something. You can jack them on a jig rod. So
what kind of equipment are you using for that?
7.2 medium heavy X Prod B, and then a Shimano Metanium 18-pound line XG. So that's the 8-gear ratio. But don't get too caught up in the X Prod and everything. Get what you can afford.
Right.
having just an 8 gear ratio reel with a 7.2 all-purpose jig rod is the most important part.
Okay.
So
I like that. Have you ever even thrown anything like that?
No, I haven't.
So it's kind of like if the Texas rig and the Carolina rig came together.
Yeah,
baby,
for sure.
You
And
just
everyone
use
knows no one throws a Carolina rig and it still catches fish all the
Oh, yeah.
time. And I don't know why people will be like, "Oh, well, who throwing Carolina rig?"
You know what?
But
I've tried.
it's
to
the same
throw
as
it
a
this
jig.
year.
You're throwing, dragging it around like
It is exactly the same. Cifuentes at the TAA
jacked 'em.
tournament.
Yeah.
He was throwing that Carolina
First
rig
day.
out there on Lake Lanier.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of the Alatoona guys.
First day he whacked him. Second day he couldn't hook up, but he was still getting bites.
He was still getting bit. So Casey Blanton, the night bite was on fire for the last week. It's so weird and off big time. Yeah, it was. It was definitely off Monday. I can tell you that for sure. It was not the anglers.
What hook are you throwing with?
So it just depends on the plastic I'm throwing, really. Like if I'm throwing that bigger bull flat, or even like a fighting frog where it's like a big wide like the big version of the fighting frog, I'm throwing the Infinity most of the time. If I'm throwing something more like a worm, I'm either throwing the double edge or our limit hook. Our limit is going to be the really big gauge. That's like the baddest big worm hook in brush piles. So if it's like heavy covered, really big ones, I'll go with that hook. And then if it's more like open water, lay downs and stuff, I'll go more to the double edge where it's like a thinner wire hook.
Is that an off shank?
Yeah, it's just an offset worm hook like that. And then we've got like the actual like more like EWG style. And like you'll see like there's different. I should have brought all the hooks we have, but like that's made for a bull flat basically, which is like a flat bluegill looking bait. It's got less room right there. We have other hooks that have a longer bend, where it's longer until the bend. So it really just depends on the bait, and we have like a lot of hooks to match it up with that. But I just keep them all on the boat, and then kind of have a couple baits I rotate through. Those are probably the two I like the best that I just keep on hand.
Yeah.
And that Vegas flash, like you add a little bit of chartreuse to the tips, and it looks just like a bluegill. Color wise,
I like this. Where did this originate from? This technique?
This is Japanese.
This is a
Japanese, and it's big out west, but kind of big out west, but it's still like not really to the public, but it's like there's no reason for it not to catch on. It catches them everywhere, and it's just a bite getter. Like it's just something, especially like right now when I'm like you're throwing a jig. Like a lot of times, like you're not getting a ton of bites, and they see a jig a lot more than they see that.
Yeah. And
I feel like just with straight plastic, anyways, you're gonna get more bites, and it's just a way you can get a ton of bites when it's a traditionally tougher time of year.
Does the way that it's like he was saying, John said he catches them on the fall.
Mm-hmm.
Does the way the weight make any difference in the way the bite feels? Is it sluggish?
Yeah, I mean they'll hammer it pretty good a lot of times on the fall. Like they'll thump it, and sometimes it might just be like heavy. Just really depends on like what you're throwing it on and like how they eat it. Like if it's in a tree versus in milfoil, or if it's up on a dock.
It's a crazy question, but how come none of the hook manufacturers have never come out with throw this hook on this type Senko or this type lizard? Or
I don't know. And that
everybody's out there trying to figure out what to throw or what to use.
Yeah,
like a bait specific hook for that. It's like if you're throwing a 5-inch Senko, this bait is designed for a 5-inch Senko. That kind of thing
is designed for a 5-inch or 7-inch lizard.
Yeah, for sure. They definitely needs to be there, and I think that's they're kind of relying on their pro staff. A lot of the hook manufacturers to kind of like, hey, this is what I like for this.
Yeah.
And then with Ryugi being kind of newer to the market, we're going to do a lot more stuff with that, kind of especially.
Me trying to remember, though, watching 15 Pros, what hook you're throwing.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the free rig.
They definitely need to do some stuff and just incorporate it into the packaging.
I mean, they got all kind of manuals for tying knots.
Yep, they sure do. Yeah, they sure do.
Yeah, that's right. What kind of shaky head do you throw if you throw one much?
So the Buckeye one, I go back and forth. I'm sponsored by Buckeye, but I actually don't throw our shaky head.
Mm-hmm. I am glad that you admit that.
Yeah,
that
no,
you are one of the pros that will admit that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And they like the honesty. I've talked to him the other day. I want a shaky head that's not a screw lock. I don't throw a screw lock shaky head.
Okay.
Right now I throw the Bite Me,
mm-hmm.
and I throw the what's it called? There's one in Hartwell, that little gas station tackle store.
Yeah.
That they hand pour them, and it's like the deal. But it's just an O'Shaughnessy shank hook. It just when they bite it, it locks them in.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like an old school bronze hook. For whatever reason, that's the shaky head. I could not tell you who makes it, but
I want to say I appreciate that because I know good and well
yeah,
that not every pro is sponsored by X company that they use that bait.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
you might be the first one to admit that on air.
Yeah, no,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, like I've talked to my pro staff boss at Big Bite where I would have, this is what I caught him on in the tournament, but I also had something else, and I showed exactly what I caught him on because it makes me more legit, and it legitimizes Big Bite more by saying this is exactly what I caught him on in the tournament. And so if I didn't catch him on it, I'm not going to show it. So. And there's some things I'll catch them on and not show, obviously. But yeah, you know, but like I'll try to like keep it like this is what I was doing. You know,
but you
keeps it more legit. And you know, if I tell you that this is my favorite flipping bait, you're actually going to believe it and go buy it. And that's more. I'd rather promote stuff I've actually used than it makes it way more easy.
That's refreshing.
I don't have to talk about the stuff I don't like. You know, it's always I can make a video like this and just talk about me fishing with it because I have experience talking about it, everything like that. But if I go and try to talk about some other bait I've never caught anything on, then you can't just make something up.
As good as they used to be, but when you watch them on TV, when the minute that pro gets that hook out or gets the fish in the boat, they throw it over the side. You can't see what he's using.
Yeah. No, you're right. What about scents? Do you use them for your baits?
I do. Yep.
So what is your scent of choice, if you can tell?
I used to be big on JJ's Magic. I've like for smallmouth fishing, especially like the gulp stuff is really good. So I'll actually buy like the gulp alive and like dump all my big bite stuff. We have a scent called, this is actually Sensation. So it's actually infused. It's like our version of accent. It's super smelly and it really drives a smallmouth crazy. That's where you really see the difference. But I've been into the white powder lately, the Japanese stuff, the Takuitu, like it looks like cocaine, to be honest with you, but the white powder.
He's using the cocaine.
Yeah, the white powder.
We wouldn't know.
We wouldn't know.
Yeah.
What does he mean by white powder? Tim, you're a cop.
Yeah.
Tim, do you use the white powder from Japan?
No, I do not.
We wanted to get that clarified.
Let me clarify that again. No, I do not.
Yeah, it is. It's the white powder. It's supposed to be liquid scent, but like shipping liquid over here is a lot harder than shipping like powder. So like it just comes in a powder form, and you just
have to
dust
add water,
it.
or you just
just dust all your baits in it, and it's good. I just started recently doing that, so we'll see. I do a lot of.
They wouldn't be slippery trying to.
It's a lot nicer because it's just powder. Like I'll literally get the cool thing about Big Bite is our stuff doesn't bleed that bad, especially like certain colors. Obviously, you don't want to put chartreuse with a white one, something, But like if I've got like my main like 3 color of worms, I'm gonna throw it up there. Like for Saginaw, I have black, awesome color, green pumpkin, and I have like perch dinner is one of the ones. They're all like pretty similar. They're not gonna bleed real bad. I put them all in a Rubbermaid Tupperware. My wife works for Rubbermaid, so I gotta get that plug out there.
There you go.
I'll literally just put them all in there. No affiliation with colors. Just dump them all in there. They're gonna be good, and then I send them up. Like, and even if they get a little bit like changing color, you got something cool.
You got something cool.
And that's why I keep a lot of I like to pack in bulk and don't have like a ton of like crazy color. I do throw a lot of crazy colors sometimes, but like I have like a Vegas Flash. That's what I throw like 95% of the time.
Yeah.
And if I don't throw that, it's like Tilapia Magic or something light variation of something, or like similar. Black and blue. And I just Ziploc them and just put them in the boat. That's a lot easier to me than I used to be big on like having every single color. And like in the springtime, I think it matters more because I'll have like a certain lake like you follow like a neon red color, like swim jig trailer. Like I'll keep a bunch for that lake or something. I might keep a bunch in the truck. But like this one just catches fish everywhere. I don't care if it's dirty water, clean water, it just catches them. So
I got you.
Vegas Flash.
That's it. So we need some white powder. I'll see if I can flag down Lime Rita when she comes by the store next time. Lime Rita, this woman pulled up behind the store one day. She was talking to herself. Yeah. She had one of them, was it Budweiser, Bud Light made them Lime Ritas or one. Yeah. She had like a 24 of that thing. She's sitting there, and some fat girl got out of the car and just ran over in the woods over there. I guess she was using the bathroom, but the whole time she was parked behind the store, Lime Rita was talking to herself.
Really?
So I imagine I probably can find that white powder pretty simple. Now let me ask you this. This is the white powder.
Yeah.
It being a dust, how does it adhere?
I mean, I literally like it's almost like a crappie fry, like where you just shake it up and it like sticks to the bait pretty good. Like I just started using that probably about like 2 weeks ago. Like, I just went and got some different kind from Mark's in Birmingham yesterday. So I'm curious to see how that version works.
I'm curious because like you said, it's not slick. Because
Oh,
listen, I put some of that bait fuel in a pack of
Yeah.
worms one time, and I
Yeah.
couldn't hold it on to
The bait
screw
fuel
thing.
works, but like the problem is like I had like these discontinued Jackall baits. They're crosstail shad, and I had like dumped bait fuel in every pack I had, and then now they're like all crusty and stuff.
Yeah.
But the bait fuel stuff definitely works. I think it's better to like have a bag, like the bag you're fishing with that week, dump them in there
Yeah.
and like do whatever.
But it is
But
But
slick.
it is slick, and it's hard to
slick.
rig them, and I'm like rigging stuff anyway.
That's what I'm saying, and so that's why I see the advantage of
Bang.
bang. Yeah, you
Yeah.
sprayed that stuff on everything.
Well,
one day.
do you think Bang works?
Yeah.
Here's the only thing I say about Bang is oil and water don't mix. And so like the way fish intakes scent through I don't know how they actually
Get scientific with us.
Yeah, I know like
Give us the redneck.
I know Berkeley has a lot of things saying oil and water don't mix, but I've used it before and I thought it made a difference. So I was curious to kind of see what other people thought.
Biologists
I love it.
say
Yeah.
that fish can't smell anything oil based.
Yeah.
Biologists say what now?
They say that fish cannot scent anything that's oil based. It has to be water based.
Yeah.
Whether I mean
That's why, like,
that's
Max
what the
said,
science
or,
guys
What
say.
fish
I don't
did
know.
You talk to?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, I don't know. But that's a good
I
point.
use
You know,
it on.
Yeah.
but you have confidence in it, whether it works or not. In your mind,
It works.
your subconscious, whatever, is saying, put the bang on it,
You're
Yeah.
selling it.
huh?
You're selling it.
Well, that's because guys like you think it works. I'm not a big proponent of scents.
Yeah, like I've seen times too, like especially like late you fall and the water gets super muddy and they're still offshore lake
Yeah.
and like they're still schooled up. Like, it definitely makes a difference for sure.
So what the way I feel is like a lot of the bass bites are reaction bites. So
Mhm.
I don't know how much scent plays a role, but I do think once they get it in their mouths, their senses,
Yeah, and hold on a little longer.
Maybe that's the thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but
It would also help him in the grass because that slick
Go through.
go through the grass
Yeah.
easier and not hang up.
WD-40, John, absolutely. In fact, Ken Pruitt's over there behind Tim, but didn't Dave the other day say WD-40 is what he still used?
He did.
He did.
When he,
That's what it
yes,
says.
he did the other day.
And it used to. It does not anymore because we look. But WD-40 used to say fish attracted on the bottle, on the can.
Really?
It no longer does, but it used to do that. Guys, we got a few more minutes before I let this young man go. So if you got any final questions, throw them at us. You got anything else that you definitely want to show?
Yeah. I'm gonna just kind of go through kind of my last couple baits that I like to
Yeah.
fish shallow with. This is a Jackall Darabuzz.
Okay.
So like right now, like when you do get up there shallow, because I brought baits for deep live scope guys, and I also brought stuff for
shallow water guys.
shallow water guys. And that Darabuzz, it's a lot smaller.
It is a very small.
It's a 1/4 ounce. You can throw it on a spinning rod or a casting rod. But the cool thing about it is it stays up. You're able to fish it slow and fast.
right.
This time of year, you want a smaller buzzbait, and the ones that are on the market now in that same size don't have a good hook on them. They bend out real easy, and you have a really high quality buzzbait for such like an old school technique. Like a lot of the older guys will have that kind of under their hat,
Mhm.
that smaller buzzbait,
Yes.
and not really want to talk about it a whole bunch. But the problem is you get the Walmart ones are the best ones up until this point, and now Jackall came out with a really high quality version.
Mhm.
A lot of cool different colors with a nasty hook on it. Like you're not going to bend that hook out.
Do you have to use do you even throw like a trailer or anything when you throw one of those?
I
It being that
do
small?
like, so, a lot of people like use the frog trailer and
Yeah.
stuff. I use the frog trailer in the springtime and the summertime. And then this time of year, like late summer and the fall, I like the traditional skirt. Like a lot of
Okay, right.
I think it's just more bait fish profile. I think that time of year it's more like brim profile. And then
Right.
if there's still like brim beds and stuff, I use the horny toad and stuff or the tour toad. But when they're on that tiny shad, I would prefer to just go like the minimal plastic possible on there.
Okay.
I like the just a straight tail spinner bait, the 2 double spinner bait trailers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll bite it down, and even if I'll even just put a tiny piece of plastic, like just that much, that does nothing other
Just to
than
give some profile or kind
something
of
to them to
latch
like,
on.
suck onto and
Key
Yeah.
on.
yeah,
Mhm.
for sure. So
What's the best shallow bait to throw right now in the morning on Lake Lanier?
it's hard. I like Pop R, like old school Pop R, like
Yeah.
either Rebel or the Rico, anything like that. It's hard to like get down some lay downs on some things. It's just easy to get a lot of bites doing that,
Right.
especially brim places. If you have anywhere that has backs of pockets.
So you're more bank oriented in the morning when you're throwing those, right?
Yeah, probably so. Or like even shoals and stuff.
Mhm.
You know, like there's a fluke's really good in the morning too.
So you're not over a brush pile out in 40 foot throwing that.
Usually a lot of the offshore stuff gets better as the sun comes up, and that's ledge lakes, that's linear a lot of the time too. I mean, like, not saying you're not gonna catch a big one or anything, or
but
catch some,
you
but
concentrate on the bank.
Yeah,
early.
I feel like the fish that are on the bank are most susceptible to being caught first thing in the morning or late in the afternoon.
Okay.
They're feeding.
They're feeding, and there's times, you know, like 12 o'clock is a really good, like lunchtime is a really good time to roll up shallow, especially shade pockets and stuff. Narrow is kind of where their window is, but you got to make that perfect cast. And when it's early in the morning, you know, those fish will come a lot further distances to eat a bait. So,
okay. All right. What else you got?
So just a spinner bait is another good one.
Yeah.
And this is one where you start seeing, I'm not going to say linear so much, but, you know, your West Points, any.
Added the stage, and now we're back. There we go, guys. So hey, our great wireless, not wireless, or
Welcome to tonight's.
Welcome to tonight's episode here at Fish North Georgia.
We're back.
We're back. So hey, sorry about that. We had a bump in the fiber for a second. So and then we were talking about the spinner bait real quick.
Yeah. Spinner bait's just a good bait to cover a lot of water. This was the Jackall Dune, and it's got a lot flatter blades. It doesn't have that cupping, so you're able to fish a lot faster. It's got these fins on the side that are able to keel it and not have it blow out.
Yes.
And I'll say a couple of years ago, I won a tournament on West Point where they were dropping the water. There's not any bank cover available, but I side scanned stumps, and there's a lot of bait in the backs of these creeks with like moving water coming in the backs of creeks. And this is for anywhere in the country. You can do this. And I was actually just throwing a spinner bait with smaller blades to imitate those shad, bumping it around those stumps and catching a lot of those big largemouth that are in that lake. That Jackall Dune's a really good one too, and it's something you can fish around laydowns, docks, anything like that. And that's going to be something that's really forgot about, especially a late summer technique for the shallow water guys, for sure. And then going back to a shallow water thing is
let me hold that big.
Throwing a bigger bait. That one's got some bent out hooks and all types of stuff on it. But
this thing has been used and abused here. Well, you can tell fish have hit it.
So that one's a DRT Tiny Clash. That's one of my no affiliation with them. That's just one of my favorite ones. And this one's more of a herring profile. This one's the clutch darter designed by Justin Kimmel, one of my buddies that fishes NPFL.
Kimmel was on here.
Caught a lot of big ones on that one also. You can see it's been abused a little bit.
But I like it when guys bring me baits that you can tell have been hit.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you can tell that fish has got some rash on. I mean, that bait's got some bite rash on it and everything.
Yeah, I've caught a lot of really big fish on Lanier this past spring on it. And I really put it down kind of the summertime period. But later in the fall, I'm not going to say right now I'm going to pick it up. But like when those fish start to get on those laydowns and stuff a lot shallower, even over brush, I throw it a lot. And around docks, marinas, anything like that. When the water starts to fall like it is now, you want to look for vertical cover, whether it be a pylon, whether it be a stump, whether it be a piece of timber or old pole dock. Like they want vertical cover because they're going to feel more protected on that kind of stuff. Or even like on the offshore fish, the live scoping fish, they want the biggest points that have that sheer drop. They don't want those flat points as much this time of year. Like herring spawn, flat points are the deal. this time of year, they want to suspend off the side of those like almost bluffy kind of places. Bluff wall is another place to throw that on shade lines and stuff.
How do you work the DRT? You
So-
burn it or
So what I do is, this is a really cool bait for guys
Yeah.
that don't know. It has a tail that comes out, and you can flip it upside down. It has different tails. It has a room for a lip if you want to put it, almost like a crankbait. You can either straight reel it in. I like to have the tail up, and what I do is I should have brought the lip with me, but I couldn't find them in my boat.
right?
I'll grab the bill. I'll heat it up with a lighter. I'll bend it backwards so it actually runs shallower. I'll do something called dead walk. Basically, this glide will like slowly just walk in place, almost like spook up around cover. And that's a great
Good
way
Lord.
to trap the fish shade lines, anything like that. And it's a way to get a bigger bite when it's notoriously like, you're catching a lot of dinks this time of year.
Right.
It's a good way to catch a lot of those bigger largemouth on Lake Lanier or any of these lakes around here, or big spots. So
Okay.
that's one I really throw a lot.
You heat the bill up and then what? Stick it to it.
I bend it.
He's bending the
Yeah,
bill.
I'm just modifying a little bit and doing that kind of stuff. So
To keep it from diving. You want it to
yeah,
stay
and
up.
if you flip, the cool thing is you can flip it either way. So the way I bend it, I can actually make it go deeper or shallower just by flipping the bill around.
There you go. On the moment, can you do like you could do that in a boat? Like if you
Oh
had
yeah, I
one
keep
way
a
and all of
lighter with
sudden-
me all the time. Like
Yeah.
every I do. None of the baits I brought have them, but I do braid split rings a lot of the times. It's quieter,
Right.
and they have less torque, so they can't throw a bait as bad. Those hooks I got on there now are the quad hooks. So what's cool about these is you don't really have to use braid split rings, so it actually swivels all the way around. It's a built-in swivel.
Built-in swivel.
Like I can go round and around and around,
Look
so
at
I
that.
can't throw that bait.
Where do you get those hooks?
I can set you up as a dealer.
Let's
Right,
do it.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. And they'll start showing up in a lot of these.
Mhm.
They're making a big push to the Japanese or to the American market. Because I think right now their pro staff before this year was only Kenta Kamara, Takumi Ito, Austin Felix, and Jacob Poroznik. And then this year they brought on myself, Logan Parks, and Robert G. So
Who is is he not still leading? Is he
smashing.
leading?
He's not leading, but
He's
he's
like a-
smashing. Yeah.
Yeah, he was leading when I quit watching.
Yeah,
today.
for sure. So those are the three new guys that we brought on this year, and we've been pushing this stuff a little bit in the southeast, and we've all three of us have been like big JDM guys,
Yeah.
try to buy stuff. So it's cool to work with them now, and then help them get into some dealers here shortly. So
We definitely can do
check them
that.
out, Ryugi, Japan.
August box was geared towards August, and September is going to be coming out, and so we're going to start trying to do them with the next box will a month out. So definitely look forward to that. But the August box will work for those of you who don't know. We do the membership box. That box that came out will work the next couple of months, according to farmers. So you got a couple more things before I let you go.
Yeah,
I want to make sure.
like
I
we
get them all
said,
in.
speed kills. That's just a Buckeye,
Uh-huh.
3/4 ounce. So I'll actually even live scope them in open water with this. I'll cut the weed guard off completely and just zoom past their face, almost like a flipping bite, make them react. A lot of times they'll come up and eat it in the fall, or I'll fish it, flip it around cover and stuff when they want something more compact. And later in the fall, I'll throw that orange skirt and stuff, or like later in September, September, October.
Back
When
to
they
that
get
color a
off
little bit.
that bait fish, like
Mhm.
there's a time frame where it gets a little funky, like during the turnover, where they're like fall. You think of bait fish, they're mainly eating bait fish, but there's a small window where they start eating the crawfish and stuff, and brim, and that's just that orange skirt. I put the tilapia color, big bite. For whatever reason, spotted bass lakes or like even just herring lakes in general, they like a double tail grub. Don't know why.
Yes,
but
they do. That's what I use.
But that's pretty much all the baits I brought.
Okay.
That's a Jackall. That's another square bill. Just cover a lot of water up to your shallow.
Right.
This is just Lanier stuff. This is, Lanier, I'm going to stay more off the bank for sure. But there's opportunity to still catch fish for guys that don't want to get up there deep for sure. So I think that's pretty much a rundown of all the baits I brought.
Well, I tell you what, I appreciate that. Now, again, repeat your socials for everybody who wants to follow you.
Yeah, it's J Mad Fishing. So JMADD _fishing.
Mhm.
And that is the same on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, I believe.
Yeah, and you can also follow Jake on the NPFL. Is that your last event of the year?
So that's only our 4th event of the year.
That's right. Because
So we go to St. John's River and then to Lake of the Ozarks after that. So
okay, it's kind of hard because the elites and all that are getting ready
Yeah.
to end, and then y'all have a few more.
yeah, it's pretty cool though. So a fan of the fishing, you know, that maybe not familiar with NPFL, they want to continue to watch live fishing and going into the fall. A lot of the guys, you know, are not fishing right now. They don't get the opportunity to go smallmouth fishing and that stuff. And we get kind of sent to places that maybe aren't the best places to go all the time.
Right.
But it's more like real world stuff. You know, how would you break down Logan Martin in January when the lake just froze, or Lake Hartwell when it's a tough post spawn condition?
I got you.
St. John's River is the one I'm probably looking forward to the most. I spent a bunch
bet.
of time down there.
Yeah.
But we're going on a very unique section down there. It's further past where the elites are even allowed to go, where we're putting in at.
Really?
So it's uncharted waters, even though like you get kind of like St. John's River every single year on the elites. We're going to completely new water. And like the Saginaw Bay, we have no boundaries, so we can go pretty much anywhere. So it'd be we can go all the way to Jacksonville, all the way down to whatever that lock is at Lake Griffin at the Harris Chain almost. So I think that's like probably 300 miles of river to go fish. So
that is a lot.
Going to be a fun tournament.
Well, I tell you what, man, I appreciate you coming up here, spending some time with us, letting us get to see these baits and everything. And let's talk about getting them in the store.
Yeah, for sure.
Some of these for sure. And but best of luck on the rest of your season with NPFL. And you man, some good juice tonight. So we appreciate that.
Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. And next time you have to get your buddy to come with you.
Yeah,
we won't say his name, but he might.
Ryan Jackson.
Ryan Jackson, we're calling you out right now.
Yeah.
You need to get up here and come on the show. So
Does he jerk also?
He jerks the squirrel.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
You had to get that in one more time,
I had to
didn't
do it
you?
one more time.
Well, I can't wait to make that TikTok.
I know.
I can't wait to make that TikTok. So anyway, guys, hey, listen, Tim, appreciate you running the board. As always, very professional back there. You do your job great.
I enjoy it.
Thank you.
You're good. And of course, Father Time, as always, I appreciate you coming on, keeping me level, except for the start of the show. You kind of blew up a little early tonight, but it was there. It was there. So, guys, we appreciate you guys joining us. And again, next week, no Tuesday night show because I will be out of town. I'm going to be in Tampa courting some money for our Real American Road trip. Going to do some fishing in Orlando Saturday and Sunday. Trying to get on some big largemouth down there. So no show next Tuesday night. We'll be back with one Thursday. And guys, if you're going to be on the water this weekend, number one, be safe. Number two, enjoy it. And try out some of these things. Look up some of these baits we talked about tonight because they look really good. I know I'm going to, and hopefully we can get them in the store soon. So you guys have a great rest of your week, and we will see you on the next one.